Good afternoon and welcome to the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships here in Nathan Benderson Park in beautiful Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. The first of the semifinal races about to begin with the women's lightweight youth Women's Lightweight Youth Doubles Semifinal number 1 in Lane 1. It will be Row LA and Lane 2, Parati. Lane 3, Narragansett. Lane 4, Y Quad Cities. Lane 5, Founders. And Lane 6, Norwalk River. Glad to have you along this afternoon here on the beach at Nathan Benderson Park. About 90 degrees, just a light breeze blowing, and no rain in sight from the beautiful new finish tower. We'll hope that that holds true for the rest of the competition. The boats are at the starting dock and locked in. They're still waiting for a little bit of alignment. I'm Mark Purcell. I'll be your announcer this afternoon, and joining me is Matt Muffelman, a local Sarasotan, former member of the national team, as well as a coach, rowed in high school. Matt, good to have you along this afternoon.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
We're waiting for the races to begin. Semifinals this afternoon. There were time trials this morning that set up the top 12 rowers, top 12 boats, those 12 boats going to the semifinals here. And the remaining boats will go to the C and D finals, those finals taking place tomorrow afternoon. So after the time trials this morning, Matt, I know these young rowers eager to get down to the nuts and bolts of the semifinals. What kind of advice do you think the coaches give these young athletes before they enter the semifinal matches?
On a race like today with temperatures up in the 90s, a lot of these crews traveling long and far, they put in a long season of training to make this national championship happen. I hope more than anything they've been hydrating.
Indeed. And I hope you've been hydrated if you're a spectator on the beach coming back from lunch. And also, as that famous graduation speech once said, always wear sunscreen. The doubles scullers here to begin with. Two forms of rowing. There's sculling and sweeping. The best way that we teach young athletes about the difference. Sweeping, you have two hands on one oar, just like you would on a broom. And sculling, you have one oar in each hand. And that's what each of these athletes have right now. Pair of rowers and 4 oars about to push themselves down the course at a high rate of speed. But as Matt said, perhaps not too fast with the dehydration potential this afternoon. There still seems to be a delay at the start. Not really sure why, but we'll wait and check on the situation. In the meantime, we're working on putting together the wonderful video coverage. We have a drone that will cover the start to the 500-meter mark. We'll follow along beside the boats from 500 to 1,500 and then call it from the tower for the last 500 of the competition. And just as soon as we turn our head, they are off. And the first semifinal for the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championship is underway. Again, the boats, Row LA in Lane 1, Parati in Lane 2, Narragansett in Lane 3, Y Quad Cities in Lane 4, Founders in Lane 5, and Norwalk River in Lane 6. Right now it is a fast start from the Narragansett boat in Lane 3. And I know, Matt, there's lots of different strategies when it comes to races, usually a bit of a sprint, settle into your rhythm, and then a sprint at the end. And you can see some of that happening right now as all 6 of these boats fast out in that first 250 meters.
Absolutely. The first 250, you want to try and really establish your position. It's a long 2,000 meters for the race, but the 250-meter start, you're taking your high strokes, you're establishing hopefully one of the top 3 positions that'll get you into the A final, the medal round.
It's Narragansett continuing to lead by about half a boat length, closely pursued by Y-Quad Cities. In third place right now, it's the boat from Founders. And in the meantime, still in contact, both Row LA and Norwalk River, with only the Founders boat slightly off the pace in this first semifinal for the women's lightweight youth doubles.
As we approach the 500, it begins to be evident that Y-Quad Cities is going to try and push their nose out. They were the leader in the time trials. Although time trials do not mean anything, they're a typical indicator of who's going to be some of the front runners. True to form, the Y-Quad Cities had the fastest time, and here they are now pushing out to about a 1/2 length lead as they approach the 500-meter mark.
All right, the first semifinal of the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth Nationals is through 500 meters. Your leader, Y-Quad Cities in lane 4. It's one of two Y-Quad Cities women's lightweight doubles we're going to see in these semifinals. There's another one in the second semifinal. Their lead is about 3/4 of a length over Narragansett in lane 3. Narragansett has about a deck advantage, maybe 10 feet or so, on the boat in lane 5 from Founders in Dallas, Texas. Behind Founders, about a length off the pace that Founders is pushing for third place, and they're starting to actually move up a little bit, is the boat in lane 6. They're in fourth place. That is a boat from Norwalk River. Looking up front, again, Y-Quad Cities in a black boat, white and red blades. They're on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, right across from Iowa, and they have a full length now as they approach 750 over Narragansett up there in lane 3, hanging strong in second place. But it has narrowed just a bit. That boat in lane 5 from Founders that finished 5th in the B final last year in this event is right on their heels. The bow ball of the Founders boat right on sort of the back of the Narragansett bow lady as she comes through to the finish of her stroke. So it's very close up front, but these three boats have pulled out from the rest of the field a bit. Narragansett in lane 3 from Rhode Island. They have a big tradition of sculling, hitting a lot of podiums nationally in a bunch of these sculling boats, and they look pretty controlled up there in lane 3. But out front, Y-Quad City is starting to move out. They now have 3/4 of a length of open water over Narragansett, and that bow ball of the Founders boats right in between the two Narragansett rowers for third place at the moment. It's open water back behind these three up front. The top three will move on to our A final on Sunday to race for a national championship in the women's lightweight youth double. So coming through the halfway point, you're going to see out in front 3/4 of a length of open water, lane 4 Y-Quad Cities. Behind Y-Quad Cities still remains Narragansett. Narragansett has actually made a bit of a move in the last 100 meters, and they now are, their stern is right on the bow ball of third place Founders, so they've moved out about a half a length. They may have about a seat of open water now.
I was going to read it.
Does Narragansett over Founders. Founders in lane 5 in a white boat, blue blades, and those ladies are rowing away from the rest of the field, opening up water as they move down the race course. So it's starting to space out just a little bit as we approach 1250 in this first semifinal of the women's lightweight double, and not taking their foot off the pedal are Y-Quad Cities out in front here. These ladies wearing unisuits, the tops are red, the bottoms are black, and they're going after it. You can really see them kind of throw their backs into it every time they drop in the water. They're through 1250, 750 meters to go for Y-Quad Cities, a length and a half of open water back to second place Narragansett. Narragansett in lane 3 in a gray boat, white blades with a couple of navy diagonal stripes. Their unisuits are white on the top with some navy horizontal stripes, and they have 2 seats of open water for second place back to Founders in lane 5, still sitting in third place, boat from Dallas. And it just continues to sort of space out a little bit. So we have these three boats out in front as they approach 500 meters to go. And there's actually a really good race going on behind these three. For 4th, 5th, and 6th, all three of those boats are connected behind these top three that are going to try to put themselves in the A final. The boat in lane 6 from Norwalk River trying to move, trying to get into that boat in lane 5 from Founders, but they've got more than a length of open water to try to catch them for that third place spot that would put them in the A final. 500 meters to go for Y-Quad Cities, 2 lengths of open water back to Narragansett. Narragansett with half a length of water to third place Founders. I'll give it to you at the finish line.
Thank you, David Wyant. He was the announcer you just heard that will be carrying us from the 500-meter mark all the way through 1,500. And now as they head down to that last 500 meters of the race, Quad Cities continuing to lead Narragansett with Founders in third, and that fight for fourth coming up. And it looks like Norwalk River might be moving up a little bit on that third place boat from Founders as they come down to the end. And really, Matt, they have to watch it here because the semifinals today, you want to get a good lane tomorrow, but you also don't want to blow your whole energy in this one race.
Absolutely. It's all about conservation. This is the second row for these ladies. It is hot. As lightweights, they will have had to weigh in this morning, conserving not only how much they eat over the week, but water. They're having to really battle the heat. So there's a lot more going on here than just the rowing. But right now it seems like Quad Cities has handled all aspects of their competition, both on and off the water. That's put them into an open water lead.
Now it looks like the boats in fourth, fifth, and sixth. We're talking Norwalk River and the boat from Parati and Row LA beginning to gain on Founders in the final 250 meters. But Quad Cities out in front with an open water lead over second place Narragansett. It's going to be a fight for third, it looks like.
Top three go to the A final. You have to make through into third position in order to move on to the A final to fight for medals. It looks like Quad Cities and Narragansett have their positions sewn up, but behind them we've got not only Parati trying to come in. It looks like, let's see, Norwalk River's trying to make a move up there, but no, excuse me, it's Founders. Founders right now in third position by about a half a length. That would be the last position to move on into the A final.
On the far side on row two, Parati beginning to move up. Row LA as well, but just a few strokes from the end. And it is Quad Cities in first, Narragansett in second, and Founder does hold on to third. Fight for fourth, a big push here from Norwalk River. Close there between Norwalk River and Parati, and Row LA right in there as well. The first semifinal, the women's lightweight youth doubles here at the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships. Now back down to the start, and David Wyan.
From Germantown Friends in Philadelphia as they come through 750, that red buoy line. Behind Germantown Friends, it is a couple of seats of open water back to a tremendous race going on for the third spot in this A final. I'm going to give it at the moment by a couple of feet to the boat in lane 5 from Quad Cities. So we saw Quad Cities out in front pretty commandingly, their teammates of that first semifinal. They're going to try to put two boats in this semifinal. Up there in lane 3 challenging them, in the final. Up in lane 3 challenging them is Seattle. Seattle won this event last year, so they're trying to see if they can't put themselves on the podium again, but they're going to have a fight here to make that grand final on Sunday. They have a deck over the boat in lane 5 from Quad Cities. Quad Cities has a half a length on the boat in lane 6 from Huntsville, Madison County in Alabama. Out front at the halfway point as they come through that red buoy line, they see that big 1,000 meter sign. It is two seats of open water for Miss Dwan and Miss Howe from Redwood Scullers and Stanford Center in lane 4. They're in a white boat with white blades. Both ladies wearing unisuits that are white on the top and white visors. So very color coordinated, very white. Two seats of open water back to second place, which continues to be the boat in lane 2 from Germantown Friends. They are in a white boat with bright orange blades. And then behind them, about two seats of open water off the pace, is just a tremendous race between Quad Cities in lane 5. They're in a gray boat, white and red blades. They have about a half a length on Seattle Rowing Center up in lane 3, white boat, also orange blades. And it's actually more like a deck, so it's about 4 or 5 feet of an advantage for Quad Cities. Should be a tremendous battle all the way down the race course. And what's happening right now is that Quad Cities and Seattle are back and forth, and they're starting to catch Germantown Friends just a little bit up there in lane 2. So we'll see what happens with 750 meters left. But we've got a great race. 3 boats for 2 spots in the grand final on Sunday. But rowing away with this one a little bit at 1350 is that boat in lane 4 from California, Redwood Scullers Stanford Center boat. They have almost a full length of open water on this beautiful flat afternoon out here at Nathan Benderson Park over the boat from Germantown Friends that still has maybe a couple of feet of open water back to Quad Cities in lane 5. Quad Cities with about a half a length on Seattle. But those 3 boats are really any permutation of those three. Two of them are going to make the grand final, and one is going to be left out and disappointed. So it should be an awesome last 500 meters in the second semifinal of the women's lightweight youth double. Out in front in lane 4, a length of open water, is the boat for center. Behind them, Germantown Friends. Then it's Y Quad Cities trying to hang on to third over Seattle. I'll give it to you at the finish line.
Thank you, David. Yes, indeed. We saw how much things can change in that last 500 meters. By the way, the Y Quad Cities boat in lane 5, that's in second and vying back and forth with the Germantown Friends, is the Y Quad Cities B boat. The Y Quad Cities A in the lightweight youth double for the girls was in the winner of the first semifinal round. So right now it looks like Redwood Scullers, Stanford Center in the lead with Friends, Germantown Friends from Philadelphia in lane 2. Right behind them, Y Quad Cities in 3. And boy, it is quite a sight to see here on the pond at Nathan Benderson Park as those rowers come flying down the course. And Mike, here's where some of the, earlier row may be taking a toll on some of these competitors.
Absolutely. Really great to see solid, fair racing here. Conditions not playing a part. It's really all about the rowers and what they're putting out on the water. Redwood Scullers really showing the class of this race right now, staying out there in front. Germantown Friends trying to get back onto terms with Y Quad Cities, but again, Seattle is not out of it yet. Seattle's making a late charge.
It looks like 4 boats for 3 places for those finals, those A finals tomorrow. Of course, the other 3 boats in the semifinal and in the previous semifinal will be going to the B final, but here they come towards the line. Redwood Scullers in lane 4 still leading, but boy, look at that line of boats going there with Germantown Friends, Seattle, and Y Quad Cities.
Again, this is going to be right down to the last stroke. They know that they've got to make it into the A final to fight for medals. Redwood Scullers out in front. It does look like Y Quad Cities is holding on. They actually have slipped back into third place. It does look like Germantown has tried to squeeze into second. It's bow ball to bow ball between Y Quad Cities and Germantown, but that will be secure enough to make their way into the A final with Seattle falling back just slightly into 4th position.
What a race there, and here comes a boat from Huntsville, Alabama, Madison County. Another crew showing up here at this championship for 2017, and the Seattle Preparatory School crossing the line as well. Boats from all across our nation here in Nathan Benderson Park this afternoon, vying for a spot for the national championship. Back up to the front with David and the next semifinal, the lightweight youth doubles.
Brophy from Tempe, Arizona in a red boat with white blades, and Brophy has a full length on the 4th place boat, which is the boat all the way up in lane 1 from Huntsville, Madison County. They're in a bright blue boat. Connected with them is the boat in lane 2 from Malvern Prep, and then the boat here in lane 6 right in front of us from Sarasota Scullers is almost about a seat of open water behind the Malvern Prep boat. But out front, I think your new leader by a couple of feet now is a boat in lane 4 from West Cambridge. These 2 gentlemen, I think they're brothers, have about a deck over that boat up there in lane 3 from Miami. Miami has been on this race course a bunch this year, and they know the race course, but they are now in a national field as we come through 1,000, and they're seeing what kind of speed other people have. This boat from Cambridge, black boat, kind of a bright yellow color on the blades with black tips, and you can't miss their unisuits because it's really like a highlighter green color. They now have a half a length over Miami. Miami in a white boat with blue blades has about a seat of open water back to Brophy. Brophy's kind of putting on a move here to try to get into Miami a little bit. Again, top 3 will move on to the grand final of the men's lightweight youth double. And behind Brophy, it's pretty good amount of open water, probably 3/4 of a length of open water back to lane 1, Huntsville, Madison County, up there in that blue boat. So it's relatively spaced out here. It is a full length lead now at 12:50 up front for your leader, West Cambridge, over Miami Rowing Club, Miami Rowing Center. And Miami Rowing Center has about 2 seats of open water back to Brophy. That boat is not giving up from Huntsville, Madison County up there in lane 1. The gentleman in the bow has green blades, and the stroke seat has white blades, and they are trying their hardest to catch Brophy. But Brophy kind of, you could tell, I saw the stroke man just kind of look out of the corner of his eye, slightly tilt his head. He knows that they're there in this red boat from Brophy in lane 5, and they're actually starting to move a little bit, trying to get into Miami. So it might get a little closer here for second and third place in the last 500 meters, unless Miami has really just been saving a little bit of energy that they haven't shown so far, because Brophy's ball is starting to move through Miami just a little bit. Second and third place, Miami in lane 3 in the white boat, Brophy in lane 5 in the red boat, but out in front with almost a full length of open meters left. Semifinal 1 of the men's youth lightweight double is West Cambridge, ahead of Miami and Brophy. Give it to you at the finish line.
Yes, the brothers David and Owen Drew and Owen Niles stroking that West Cambridge boat. Brothers from Arlington, Massachusetts, being pursued by the winners of the Southeast Youth Championship, the boat from Miami, and then that boat from Brophy hanging in there as well. Brophy from Phoenix, Arizona. Again, the last 500 meters, a lot can happen in a race, and we've seen it happen a couple of times already, but plenty of exciting racing still to come this afternoon. Right now it is still the West Cambridge out in the lead with Brophy and Miami battling for second place right now. And it looks like Huntsville, Madison County not out of the mix as well in lane 1 there, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like West Cambridge is really the class of the field in this event. They did win the time trial this morning. Really nice, long, competent strokes out there. Behind them is the real battle. Miami knows this race course well, but they are not used to seeing somebody like Brophy right next to them, really putting it to them. This is 3 boats really fighting, and over there on the far side, it looks like Huntsville trying to get back into it, try and fight into the medal round.
Here they come to the line. It is West Cambridge, the brothers from West Cambridge rowing. Drew and Owen Niles still holding on to first. A big push coming in right now from the boat from Brophy, and they are beginning to challenge that boat from Miami. As a matter of fact, here they come down to the line, stroke by stroke. Miami beginning to pull, but it's Brophy coming across in second, and Miami in third to secure the place in the A final. Next, it's the Huntsville Madison County boat, followed by the Sarasota Scullers, and here comes the boat from Malvern Preparatory School in this first semifinal for the men's lightweight doubles. What a race. I tell you what, Matt, it really does make a difference, those last few strokes, to have a little bit left in your tank to dig deep and pull hard.
Absolutely, and as you can see from the Sarasota Scullers double, they laid it out all there on the field here. The local hometown boys really went after it, but this is a hot field of racing right now, both temperature-wise and speed, and right now West Cambridge had the speed that made them into the A final. Brophy and Miami going to be fighting for medals tomorrow. Going to be a really exciting race.
The second semifinal for the men's lightweight double has the group from GMS in lane 1 from New Milford, Connecticut, Seattle in lane 2, Amadeus Academy in lane 3, Seattle in lane 4, Sea Base from Newport Beach, California in lane 5, and Norwalk River from Connecticut in lane 6. It looks like we're beginning to catch back up with the schedule after a slight delay from the start for the semifinals this afternoon. Again, the rowers out here rowing for a chance to hit the A final tomorrow. The people who are in the 4th through 6th will end up in the B finals tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but on Sunday.
That's absolutely correct. Quick preview of the upcoming race. It's probably going to be, the crews to watch will be Seattle and Amadeus. Their time trial times were within a second of each other. They should be the ones to watch, but again, it is only a time trial. It does not count until you race it out side by side and find out whose bow ball crosses the line.
So we're waiting for the start for the second semifinal. There are 2 boats from the Seattle Rowing Center, and they are not designated between A and B, but I can tell you that it is the boat from Seattle stroked by Nick Angelillo and Noah Sullivan in lane 2, and Cole Graham and Reese Schultz boat from Seattle in lane 4. While we wait for the second semifinal in men's lightweight doubles, big thank you to the friends and family who made the long trip to come and cheer on their rowers here at Nathan Benderson Park this afternoon. Enjoying a nice sunny Florida day after a couple of days where some rain popped up. Nice to see sunshine for this competition today and some nice flat water too. So thank you to friends, family, and coaches for putting in the time to have these young athletes have quite an experience here in Sarasota. Second.
All right, we're at about 350 meters with semifinal 2 of the men's lightweight double. Out in front is Seattle. Seattle actually won this event last year, but very interestingly, there are 2 Seattle boats in this semifinal. So they're trying to put 2 boats, is Seattle, in the grand final. The boat in lane 4 is out in front from Seattle. They have 3/4 of a length on 2 boats that are dead heated, really too close to call. Lane 5, which is the boat from Newport Beach Sea Base, and they have maybe a foot on the boat in lane 3 from Amadeus Academy. So that is your top 3, but connected with the boats that are in second and third place are lane 1 GMS and also the lane 6 boat Norwalk River. So it's very bunched up, probably 3.5 boat lengths or 4 boat lengths separating all 6 boats here in this semifinal 2 of the men's lightweight double. Top 3 will move on to the grand final on Sunday, and as they approach 700 meters, it continues to be a 3/4 length advantage for Seattle Rowing Center Rowing Club in lane 4. The bow ball of the yellow boat being rowed by Sea Base in lane 5 is right on the hands of the gentleman from Seattle when the stroke seat when he takes a stroke at the catch. It is still maybe a foot advantage for Sea Base over the boat in lane 3 from Amadeus. So these 3 boats have now pulled away from the field. There is open water back to 4th place. 4th place is a boat in lane 6 now from Norwalk River. They've pushed up a little bit, and they have half a length on lane 1 GMS. GMS with probably 4 or 5 feet, maybe a deck over the other Seattle boat in lane 2. So again, really, even though these top 3 boats have pushed out with a little bit of open water, it's still very close because the 4th, 5th, and 6th place boats are all connected behind these 3 up front, which are all connected. So as they come through the halfway point, it's really anybody's race still. Seattle is trying to go start to finish, and they're in a nice driver's seat position here with 3/4 of a length, but they really haven't. They've been sitting on that advantage for the last 500 or 600 meters, really since we picked them up here. Your new second place, making a little bit of a move to push into second place, is a boat in lane 3 from Amadeus. Amadeus now has half a length on the new third place boat, which is the boat from Sea Base in lane 5. So there is not connection between all 3 up front now. It's just Seattle and Amadeus, and then Amadeus is connected to the third place boat, Sea Base. But Sea Base does not have connection on Seattle, who is out in front of the semifinal. Behind them, still a tremendous race. It's dead heated between lanes 1 and 2, GMS and Seattle, and both of those 2 boats are about a half a length behind the boat in lane 6 from Norwalk River. So 3 boats connected behind the 3 up front. At 12:50, it continues to be Seattle, but here comes Amadeus. Amadeus, big move at 12:50, and they are almost dead even up front in their blue boat with white blades, with that boat from Seattle that again was trying to go start to finish. Now they've got a little bit of a race on their hands, does Seattle in lane 4. Tremendous move there from Amadeus. Probably took about a 10-stroke move. I didn't see the rating change. It was just a power move, and they now have a deck over Seattle, winning this semifinal. As we approach 500 meters to go, is Amadeus in lane 3. Those 2 boats have broken open water now back to Sea Base in lane 5, but Sea Base is pretty comfortably sitting there in the third place spot in lane 5 in their yellow boat with white blades. They have open water back to the boat in lane 6 from Norwalk River that's trying to hold on to fourth over lanes 1 and 2, GMS and Seattle. So up front, 500 meters to go, it's Amadeus over Seattle and Sea Base. Give it to you at the finish line.
Jason What a move there from Amadeus Academy in lane 3 between 1250 and 1500. A big move there, Matt, on the boat from Seattle, stroked by Cole Graham and Reese Schultz. And they continue to pour it on, and it looks like the Sea-Base boat that had slipped back to third is now again trying to reassert itself as they come down towards the finish line.
Absolutely. Amadeus just made a crushing move from the 1250 to the 1500. They went from a length down to a length up. I have to imagine that was planned, and nobody else could do anything about it. On the far side, if you take a look, GMS looks like they're going to be challenging Sea-Base. They want to try and get back into the A final, a hunt for medals. GMS knows that they have to go now, and at this point it's looking like it's anybody's ball game. Right now we still have Amadeus and Seattle in first and second position, but behind them Sea-Base is trying to hold off a late charge from GMS, and it seems like that may be holding.
So as they come down towards the finish line, it's Karen and Chabowski from Amadeus Academy in the lead in the second semifinal for the men's lightweight doubles, with Seattle right behind them, Graham and Schultz pursuing. Sea-Base still holding on to third. A big move looks like it's coming on from GMS over in lane 1 with Sullivan and Angelillo from Seattle right behind them, and not to be left out, Norwalk River in lane 6. But at the finish line, the Amadeus Academy is the first across the line, followed by Seattle, and then Sea-Base with a big spurt at the end, holding off a big push from Norwalk River. It's Norwalk River crossing in fourth, then Seattle, and then GMS in fifth, and Seattle in sixth in the second semifinal. And you can just look at the faces of those athletes after they cross the finish line and see the effort they have put forth, some collapsing backwards in their seats, some just leaning forward, catching their breath, knowing that they've given their all to make it to those finals.
Certainly hurts a little less when you've crossed that line in first position. You got to give it to that. But I also will give a shout-out to Seattle for being able to put two boats into the semifinal. Not only did their A boat make it in, that's got to be a challenge looking across at the starting line, knowing your teammates that you've practiced with and pieced all year long. Here we go. Let's see who's making to the A final.
Next up on the schedule will be the semifinals for the women's fours. The first semifinal will have Stewards Foundation in lane 1, Oars, the Orlando Area Rowing Society in lane 2, Three Rivers in lane 3, Capital from Sacramento in lane 4, St. Louis in lane 5, and Holy Names from Seattle in lane 6. So making that transition from the first four races, which were sculling, to the sweep boats here with the women's fours.
It looks like we've had a start in the race. We'll try to get to video. The crew to watch should probably be Capital in lane 4. They did win the time trial this morning. Again, that is no guarantee that you'll continue to stay in the lead, but it is a strong indicator they had a good piece this morning. Now they just have to do it again, repeat it, try and make their way into the medal round.
There's two crews with Capital in their name in this competition. The Capital City Rowing from Tallahassee, Florida, and Capital Crew from Sacramento, California. David Wyatt handling the call at the beginning of the race. We'll head back up the course to him as the women's first, the semifinal one of the women's four on the water.
All right, we're at 400 meters with semifinal one of the women's youth four with Coxon. Out front is Capital in lane 4, Capital from Sacramento. And they have about a half a length of open water on Oars up there in lane 2. Oars is being challenged very well here by lanes 5 and 6. I'm going to give lane 6, the boat from Holy Names, a couple of feet over the boat in lane 5 from St. Louis. But those are your top 4. Now, it's all relative. At 600 meters here, your leader out front is Capital. and they are really the only boat that is out front. They have a full length on the rest of the field, and behind them it is a dogfight. Even coming up in lane 3 right now, making a move, is Three Rivers from Pittsburgh getting into the mix. There's 4 boats here behind Capital that are all in the mix at 650 meters. So a tremendous race going on behind Capital. Not that they're not rowing well. They are leading this semifinal. They're in a white boat with white blades. Their unisuits are black and green. They're all wearing white hats. And the coxswain, I'm looking at her. She just popped up from her position in the bow to take a look back behind her and see where the other crews are. When you're up in those bow-loaded 4s as a coxswain, you really have no idea, if you're out in front, where the other boats are. So she smartly got up a little bit, made a move, looked back, and she saw that lane 6 and lane 5 are the 2 boats that are challenging her the best, but it's 2 seats of open water for Capital over lane 6, the boat from Holy Names in Seattle. Holy Names with about 2 feet on lane 5 from the boat from St. Louis, and then it's just a couple feet back to the boat in lane 3 from Three Rivers, and Three Rivers has a couple of feet on oars. Unbelievable race here. And it's now dead even. A little move there from St. Louis to bring it to dead even for second place with the boat in front of us from Holy Names in lane 6. 4 boats separated by about 4 feet for second through 5th place in this first semifinal of the Women's Youth 4. Some boats are going to get left out here, and this is going to be a tremendous race in the second half. Through the 1,000-meter point, at the halfway point, it is almost a full length of open water for the boat from Capital in lane 4. Behind them, it is too close to call, literally stroke for stroke. St. Louis in lane 5, Holy Names in lane 6, Three Rivers in lane 3. Those 3 boats have pulled away a little bit from oars, the Orlando boat up there in lane 2. So, your new second place with a big move there at halfway is Three Rivers. Three Rivers is in lane 3. They're in a white boat, primarily red blades. They have about 3 feet now on the boat in lane 5. That boat from St. Louis has about a deck on the boat in lane 6 from Holy Names. So now it's spaced out slightly, but you have about 12 feet separating 3 boats for 2 spots in the grand final. As we come through 1250, the lead up front is a little bit less. It's only about a half a length of open water now for Capital. These boats behind them are duking it out and kind of pacing themselves and moving up just a little bit on Capital, but they're in the driver's seat. They're trying to go start to finish, put themselves in a middle lane for that grand final on Sunday. In second place now with half a length is the boat from Three Rivers. They have a bucket on the starboard side, which is right in front of us on the camera, and they have half a length on third place. Now pulling away from Holy Names is St. Louis in lane 5. So it's starting to space out as they approach 500 meters to go. I will give it to you at the finish line. You'll see them come through 500 meters. Your leader is Capital in lane 4. 3 seats of open water back to the boat in lane 3, which is a boat from Three Rivers who has half a length on St. Louis in lane 5.
Indeed, Capital is in the lead, and the last 500 meters of the race here in the first semifinal for the women's 4s. Capital from Sacramento, coached by Sarah Puddicombe, and she has been working them out. They were third in the Southwest Regional, and they're first right now in this semifinal. They're being closely pursued by Three Rivers. But what a sight to see as these boats come down. Great color on this beautiful Florida afternoon, on this beautiful body of water. And what a race is shaping up right now. It looks like Three Rivers trying to catch up with Capital, but it looks like Capital has a nice open water lead over Three Rivers. In the meantime, it appears that the other boats in the race, including St. Louis and Holy Names, are trying to stick with those leaders.
Capital has a really nice, long, smooth rate right now. They know they're out in front. They're trying to conserve energy. But right behind them, there's a real battle going on. Three Rivers is taking the rate up, making sure that they don't lose that position. St. Louis also really fighting. You can see they're about 3 to 4 beats higher than everybody else. They're not going to give in. Oars over there in lane 2, going to make a late charge to represent this Florida state and try and make it into the A final. But at the moment, Capital, Three Rivers, and St. Louis seem to be the class of the field.
Indeed, heading towards the finish line, Capital continuing to hold on to the lead. A big surge from Three Rivers. Look at them dig those oars in. It looks like Capital sees that threat and lean into their oars a little bit more, but coming across the line, it is still Capital first with a 4-seat take over Three Rivers. In the meantime, a big push from Holy Names trying to catch up with St. Louis. They cross third, and Holy Name will be fourth. With oars, the Orlando area coming in fifth, and then it's the Stewards Foundation from Tampa in sixth. First semifinal for the women's 4. Second semifinal on the water right now. In lane 1, PRNA Mercer. Lane 2, Saugatuck. Lane 3, Deerfield. Lane 4, Dayton Boat Club. Lane 5, R.A. Rye. Lane 6, South Jersey. Up to David Wyant for the call.
All right, we're at 600 meters in semifinal 2 of the Women's Youth 4. In lane 4, Dayton is out in front. They're in a white pocock, white blades, and another awesome race behind them for second and third. Couple of feet. Second place right now is Deerfield. Deerfield Academy has a pretty tremendous pedigree in this event. They actually won this event in 2014 and 2015. They missed out on the medals last year, trying to put themselves back on the podium as Deerfield. They're up there in a black Resolute in lane 3. They have a deck advantage, so a deck's probably about 4 or 5 feet here over the boat in lane 5 from Row America Rye, from Rye, New York. Coming through the red buoy line at 750, it is a full length advantage for Dayton over that boat from Deerfield. Same advantage, only about 3 or 4 feet for Deerfield over Row America Rye. There is one more boat in the mix here that is connected with both Deerfield and Row America Rye. It is the boat up in lane 2 from Saugatuck. Saugatuck obviously putting out some tremendously fast women's 8s, trying to three-peat this weekend in that event, but their 4 is right in the mix here to try to put themselves into that grand final on Sunday. Up in lane 2, they're in a white boat with black blades, and they're starting to move a little bit. It's only about a deck that they have to close to be sitting in third place on that boat in lane 5 from Row America Rye. So these top 4 boats out in front as we approach the halfway point are separated by about 3 full boat lengths from the bow of Dayton, who has now dropped back just a little bit, or the other boats behind them have moved up. Deerfield's bow is now in between the Stroke Lady and the 3 Lady in the Dayton boat, so there's some connection now. And the boat from Row America Rye in lane 5 has almost grabbed a connection with Dayton as well. But it looks to me like Dayton just pulled a 10, and they're starting to move out from Row America Rye. You could kind of see the Stroke Lady in the Dayton boat really start to throw her back into it and really put some power down. But there still is connection between Dayton and second place Deerfield. Deerfield was still a deck on Row America Rye, and Row America Rye with only about a deck on that boat up there from Saugatuck. So 4 boats for 3 spots in the grand final. This is semifinal 2 of the Women's Youth 4, and it should be a great final 500 meters with 3 boats connected behind your leader by 3/4 of a length, which is the boat from Dayton in lane 4. Trying to go start to finish. We'll see if they can hang on. They have 750 meters left to put them in one of those center lanes for the grand final. Deerfield, 2 feet now over Row America Rye. Row America Rye in a white boat right in front of us. Red, white, and blue blades from the bottom up. And they are now so close, maybe a foot behind Deerfield, and still connected with both Deerfield and Row America Rye is the boat from Saugatuck up there in lane 2. Do not count them out. We will see what happens in the last 500 meters. This is going to potentially be the best race that we've seen at the finish line this entire afternoon of these semifinals so far. It's the semifinal 2 of the Women's Youth 4. It is Dayton trying to hang on out front, and it's anybody's game behind them. Deerfield, Row America Rye, and Saugatuck.
This is what rowing's all about right there. This is racing happening with Dayton in the lead, trying to go end to end with Deerfield on Rye, also trying to catch up. Saugatuck hanging in there. And Mike, you know, it's sometimes more difficult to lead from wire to wire just because you see those competitors coming up against you.
Absolutely. The chase boats, the girls that are trying to catch the lead boat, may end up battling each other right back into first, second, and third place. Again, Dayton shot out there and had an early lead, but right behind him now it looks like all four boats are within contact. It's anybody's game. If you have a boat in this race, I recommend you get to the beach right now. Make sure you watch this finish because we're approaching the red buoys, marking 250 meters to go.
Saugatuck, David said, don't count them out, and here they are making a move over there in lane 2 with Dayton still trying to cling to the lead with Deerfield right behind and Rye right behind them. Look at these boats, almost bow ball to bow ball as they come. Saugatuck moving forward. Dayton still in the lead, though.
It looks like Deerfield might be slipping back from Saugatuck, but again, from this angle, the only thing I can tell is Dayton is still holding on to a qualifying position. From there, it looks like Row America Rye and Saugatuck are also considering. Row America Rye has made a big push in the last 250 to get back in bow ball to bow ball with Dayton.
Here they come to the line. It's Dayton leading from the start, trying to cling on right here at the finish as R.A. Rye is trying to make a big push over in lane 2. Saugatuck making a big push too. They're coming right down 3 strokes from the end. Oh, here comes R.A. Rye. They look like they crossed just before Dayton. Third looks like it goes to Saugatuck, and fourth to Deerfield.
What an amazing battle.
Awesome to see. And now I will have to say, here up in the tower, the folks with the microphone here, we're unofficial, so we can't call it. We have to let those refs do it. But boy, at the end there, what a push from R.A. Rye. Dayton holding on there and doing a great job. But then Deerfield and Saugatuck pursuing. Saugatuck with a big push at the end. Looked like they took third. Wow, wow, wow.
Absolutely. I think several of those crews have known each other from throughout the season. Several of those Northeast crews have been battling. They knew what the challenge was going to be, and boy, it seems like they all rose to that challenge, and it was just who got their bow ball out in front for the last 5 strokes.
Next up on the semifinals this afternoon, the first set of semifinals here at the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships here in Sarasota, Florida. It is the women's lightweight eights with Seabase in lane 1, Mount St. Joseph in lane 2, the Cincinnati Juniors in lane 3, Oakland Strokes in lane 4, Manhasset High School in lane 5, and Marin in lane 6. A representation all the way across our country right here in this first semifinal for the lightweight eights. They're on the water. We'll head back up towards the start with David Wyatt as soon as we can pick that up, and we'll see how they are progressing.
Coming into view for you and approaching for California, they have the advantage over Oakland Strokes in lane 4. All 6 of these 8 separated by me.
We're having a little technical difficulty picking up David out towards the start, but Marin looks like they have an early lead over Oakland Strokes. It's a battle of the West Coast happening there. The Cincinnati Juniors from the Midwest trying to hang in there in this first semifinal for the women's lightweight eights. Mount St. Joseph and Seabase, along with Manhasset High School, all looking like they're still in the race. Let's see how they shape up. David.
Are no strangers to one another. Here comes Oakland. Oakland now is dead even with Marin. Then in the first 500 meters, now it is Oakland with a 1-seed advantage. Big old move being put on by Oakland. and they now have maybe a seat or two over Marin. Going with both of those boats, only about 3 seats behind them, is Cincinnati Juniors up there in lane 3. So up front, we've got 3 boats separated by about 6 feet total. And then the 4th place boat, also connected with these boats, is the boat all the way up in lane 1 from Newport Beach, Seabase. So those are your top 4. The 5th place boat, and a beautiful light purple boat with light purple blades, is Mount St. Joseph in lane 2. And then in front of us in lane 5 from Manhasset High School, they are connected, but in 6th place. Through the halfway point, it is Oakland's race right now. They have about 3 seats, and the coxswain looking both sides because she is connected with 2 boats that are dead even behind her. It's Cincinnati Juniors in lane 3 and Marin in lane 6. You can see the advantage for Oakland Strokes is only about a deck. Marin putting on a little bit of a move here, watching their bow kind of press in front of Cincinnati Juniors by maybe a foot. So just to give you an understanding of how close these boats are up front and just how close we match the speeds are of these boats, these 3 boats are separated by about 12 feet total from the leader back to, it looks like Cincinnati Juniors now has a couple feet on Marin. So as they come through 1250, it is Oakland out in front of Cincinnati Juniors, who has, again, maybe a foot over Marin. These 3 boats are pushing out from the rest of the field. It's almost open water behind Marin back to that 4th place boat up in lane 1 from Seabase. So 3 California boats in the top 4 spots here, Southwest region, always a very strong region, and they're showing it again here in semifinal 1 of the women's lightweight 8. Out in front, more of an advantage now, full half a length of an advantage for Oakland Strokes in lane 4 over Cincinnati Juniors. Cincinnati Juniors has pressed out to a deck advantage over Marin in lane 6, and Marin has a full length over Seabase in lane 1. Those are your top 4. As I give it to you at the finish line, they approach 500 to go.
You just got to love the sound of the coxes coaxing their rowers to reach deep and stroke fast as the first semifinal for the women's lightweight 8s. The 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships comes down the course again. Oakland Strokes in the lead right now. Cincinnati Juniors from the Midwest just behind. Another West Coast boat. Marin in 3rd, and Seabase out there in lane 1 trying to hold on for 4th. Meanwhile, Mount St. Joe and Manhasset kind of neck and neck as they come up. The juniors look like they're getting a slight advantage now as they begin to push forward too, trying to catch up with the Oakland Strokes as they come here, but it is Oakland Strokes out in the lead with both Marin and the Cincinnati Juniors beginning that battle for second. 3 spots in the A final for these lightweight 8s. These ladies want to make sure that they are in that A final. The Cincinnati Juniors trying to catch up with Oakland Strokes, and I tell you what, Mike, these big boats, it really does come down to that last 100 meters or so.
Absolutely, a really strong showing by Oakland to be this far ahead of Cincinnati. Cincinnati perennial medal winners in this event. Cincinnati's going to try and charge up right into them, but at this point, top 3 positions really seem fairly secured. Again, Oakland put in the work early, really got out there, holding about a 3/4 to 1 length lead over Cincinnati. Cincinnati and Marin overlapping. Marin holding solid right now ahead of Seaport for that 3rd place position, but again, that's why we got to row all 2,000 meters before we declare who moves on to the A final.
A big push coming from Marin here at the finish line. Oakland Strokes crosses the line in first. Here come the Cincinnati Juniors fending off a challenge from Marin. They have about a half a boat over the 3rd place vote from Marin, and then a length back there to Seabase, followed by Mount St. Joseph, and a big push here from Manhasset High School as they cross the finish line in 6th. Again, a lot of these athletes really giving their all. Some from, say, Cincinnati, used to the hot and humid weather, but maybe not Florida hot and humid. Then the humidity, take that into effect when it comes to the West Coast. And really, Matt, how much do you feel that the weather does affect? I mean, these rowers, I know in rowing, when it's super cold outside, I can stay warm. I seem to stay cool when I'm in the summer as well, but when you're in competition, all bets are off.
It'll be a huge challenge here. Again, this is fantastic weather, really fair racing on a actual World Championship level course. But again, when you're rowing in a tailwind like this and temperature like this, you're rowing in what feels like a vacuum. You're really going to be having trouble breathing, trying to pull it in.
Second semifinal for the women's lightweight eights on the water. Bromfield, Acton, Boxborough in lane 1. The only crew I know with 3 names. CRI in lane 2. St. Louis in lane 3. New Trier in lane 4. New Canaan in lane 5. And Marion Mercy Academy. Oh, I just said 3 names, and there's 3 again. In lane 6, but I guess Academy doesn't count. A second semifinal for the women's lightweight 8. Getting a shot from the drone here, and look at that beautiful shot. What a picture there, with CRI in lane 2 in the lead by about half a deck length over the boat from St. Louis. Then New Trier right behind them. A battle shaping up from Bromfield, Acton, Boxborough, and New Canaan. And it's only Marion Mercy Academy slightly off the pace early through the first 200 or 300 meters. But out in front quickly, and now facing a challenge from St. Louis, it's CRI in the lead. Here comes a charge from New Trier as well. New Trier trying to catch up and surpass those leaders, and it does appear that they do. What a fight in the second semifinal for the women's lightweight 8.
Absolutely. Those first 3 crews really shot out, looking like we've got CRI, St. Louis, and New Trier.
Is 3 feet separating 3 boats, lanes 2 through 4. Lane 2 is CRI, lane 3 is St. Louis, and in lane 4 is New Trier. And they are all just going at one another. Every time they're dropping in, they're trying to see if they can't push their bow ahead, and nobody really with a clear advantage. Maybe a half a seat, which is, potentially a foot for St. Louis. St. Louis is in a silver boat, looks like a King 8. And they do have a couple of feet now over CRI. CRI has about a foot over New Trier. That's how close it is up front for these 3. Connected with all 3 of those boats is the boat in lane 5 from New Canaan. New Canaan right in front of us, also in a King 8, rowing with white blades. They have pink in their unisuit. We will see if they can hang with this just tremendous battle up front going on between these 3 boats. It is still an advantage, couple of feet for the boat in lane 3 from St. Louis. St. Louis with a couple of feet now over New Trier. New Trier and CRI that are dead heated. They're in lane 2 in a red boat with red blades, community rowing of Boston, and they're trying to go with New Trier, but here comes New Trier. They now have 3 seats on CRI, so they tried to counter that St. Louis move, because it pulled them away at the halfway point. CRI just a little bit, and coming into the mix a little bit more now is the boat in lane 5 right in front of New Canaan. New Canaan is only about 4 seats behind CRI now, and sitting in 4th place. Still connected 4 boats up front. The 4th place boat doesn't quite have connection on the 1st place St. Louis. So it's 2 full lengths separating these 4 boats. Again, 2 of them are going to move on to the grand final on Sunday. Youth 8 event.
What a race, St. Louis, fending off challenges from all sides. CRI, New Trier, New Canaan, all fighting in the second semifinal. There's Marion Mercy Academy as well, and Bromfield, Acton, Boxborough in the mix. But it's St. Louis, CRI, New Trier, New Canaan, all in the center of the course, battling back and forth. Now, there are some advantages that last for a short period of time and then suddenly disappear. So these coxswains have to be very careful with what they're asking their crews to do. But look in the middle right there in lanes 3, 4, and 5, neck and neck. CRI, after a fast start, slipping slightly. And it's Bromfield, Acton, Boxborough, and Marion Mercy Academy just behind the field. But 5 of these boats in touch and moving down the course quickly.
It looks like St. Louis has a pretty strong lead with New Trier in second. Right now, the fastest boat moving up looks to be New Canaan. It looks like CRI is going to have to fight to hold off New Canaan to secure a position in the A final.
Well, sometimes that's how it goes. That strategy, you can pour it on, feel good when you settle in, but all of a sudden you find your tank's a little empty.
Absolutely, especially having done 1,900 meters this morning. We're coming up on 50. We've done 1,500 meter. We're coming up on the 1,750 mark right now. When they hit the red buoys, everyone should go up. Again, right now, St. Louis has a pretty strong one-length lead over New Trier, CRI, and New Canaan. That's where the battle is going to be.
Coming down in the second semifinal for the women's lightweight 8, St. Louis. CRI, New Trier, New Canaan have been battling since the start. They are now battling towards the finish. It does look like St. Louis with the advantage over New Trier for the moment. In the meantime, New Canaan sneaking up on New Trier on the other side, and CRI falling off slightly after a very strong start.
CRI is bringing the rate back up. They know they're in their final sprint. They're going to have to do everything they can to try and get their bout back in front of New Canaan. But again, now here comes New Trier. New Trier is going to try and make a push into St. Louis, and they are taking really nice long strokes. They are really moving that boat. St. Louis knows they've got a secure position into the final. New Trier really making up ground fast, and New Canaan looks like they have really put their bow into a solid qualifying position.
Oh, watching the Coxes and their strategy, glancing left and right, trying to decide what to ask their rowers to do. But as they come down to the finish, a big push from New Trier. There's still 4 seats, now 3 seats, now 2.5 seats. But at the finish, it's St. Louis over New Trier. Big push from New Canaan. They come in third. CRI with an early lead. Peters out towards the end. They are in fourth. Fifth comes from Marion Mercy Academy and Bromfield Axon Boxborough, rounding out the second lightweight 8 women's semifinal. Back and forth. You can feel good, Matt, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature comes back at you.
Absolutely. It looks like New Canaan is definitely celebrating their spot in the A final at this year's Youth National Championship for the women's lightweight 8.
Now on to the men's 4s. The first semifinal will feature in Lane 1, South Jersey. In Lane 2, St. Edward. In Lane 3, Nobles. In Lane 4, OKC Riversport. In Lane 5, CRI. And in Lane 6, for the first time here in the National Championships, the name Pocock. The men's Youth 4 on the water right now, and Matt, an early lead from the boat from Nobles.
Absolutely. They were a crew to watch early on the season. And I tell you what, I saw OKC this morning in the time trial just storming down the course. So look to see them. They're going to try to make up ground on a fast starting crew from Nobles. See if that next 1,500 meters leaves it all to play.
And it looks like it is OKC and St. Edward going back-to-back bow ball to bow ball as they come down, but it is Nobles with an early start up to David and the call for the semi-1 of the men's 4s.
They may have more left in the tank that they're not showing the rest of the field right now. Just a tremendously controlled row right now from the boat from Nobles in Lane 3. They're out in front. Like I said, they have a half a length. Second place is the boat just above them from St. Edward. They're in a bright green boat, so you can't miss them. St. Edward is a team from Lakewood, Ohio, a little west of Cleveland, trying to do a little bit better than their NBA team here at the 2017 Youth Nationals. They have 2 feet over third place, which is the boat from OKC Riversport, Oklahoma City in Lane 4 there, in a white boat with orange blades, and they are now dead even with that boat from St. Edward. Right behind them, only about a deck behind those 2 boats that are dead heated for second and third, is the boat in Lane 5 from CRI. CRI is right in the mix there in a white boat, looks like a Hudson with red blades. Connected with CRI is the boat in Lane 6. That boat is from Pocock in Seattle, and Pocock has about a deck on the boat all the way at the top of the race course from South Jersey in Lane 1. Up front, it's getting a little bit closer because here comes OKC Riversport. And if you're seeing them on the camera here, white boat, orange blades, they have a bucket on the starboard side also. They don't physically have a bucket that picks up water. What that means is that the 2 gentlemen on the starboard side are consecutive members of this boat. So the stroke man is rowing on the port side, and then the 2 and 3 seats, the 2 gentlemen in the center of the boat, both have their blades on the starboard side. And look at them move. right through that halfway point. They are now, your new leader is OKC River Sport in lane 4, a couple of feet over that boat from Nobles in lane 3. We'll see what Nobles does. It does not look like they have changed their rating at all. Actually, it looks like they're making a little bit of a power move right now. It might have changed their rating about a beat just because OKC rode through them at that halfway point. But Nobles still pretty much in control of their race here as we approach that 1,250-meter red buoy line. Third place is the boat in lane 5 now from CRI. CRI has come through that boat from St. Edward that up to the 1,000-meter point was sitting in a qualifying position for the grand final. Now they're going to have to really battle with CRI for that third spot. Both of those boats connected with second place Nobles, but out in front, 3/4 of a length advantage now is OKC River Sport, trying to row away with it a little bit. They sort of let Nobles have the first half of this race, and it's put on a devastating move there at halfway, and they have almost a full length as we approach 500 meters to go. Does OK River Sport out front, almost a length over Nobles. Nobles now with almost a length over CRI. CRI only a couple of feet over St. Edward. Should be a good race here at the finish line. 4 boats for 3 spots. I'll give it to you at that finish line. Men's Youth 4, Semi 1.
Great representation of our great nation here in the front at the semis for the men's 4 here at the 2017 Youth Rowing Championship with OKC in the lead. Matt, you had called it. Watch out for them. They made a big move on Nobles and went by. Nobles from Dedham, Massachusetts, just ahead of the CRI boat from Philadelphia. Then St. Edward from Lakewood, Ohio there. But OKC River Sport made a big move and took advantage of the new slower stroke rate at Nobles and began to take the lead and is now almost a full boat length in the lead.
Absolutely. OKC is just looking really nice, long and strong. They seem confident in their stroke and their rating. They're really just going to try and extend that lead right now, make sure they don't make any mistakes, conserve a little bit of energy. They're still going to make sure they get a preferred lane in that final. Nobles is going to hang on to try and secure it ahead of CRI, but again, St. Ed's look like they want to try and do whatever they can in this last 250 to get back into it.
Familiar Delta V shape coming down the course towards the finish with OKC River Sport in the lead in lane 4. Nobles in third with CRI just ahead of them, and then it's St. Edward, Pocock, and South Jersey in this first semifinal. In lane 6, Gonzaga. Fun to see these rowers after they get off, putting their feet in the water just to chill off just a little bit. Those hot shoes and the sculls and the boats, say those shells can sometimes heat you up a bit. Don't forget to stop by the Captain U tent next to US Rowing at lunch on Saturday and Sunday between 12:30 and 1:30 Saturday, 11:30 and 12:30 Sunday to learn more about the process for rowing in college. Interested athletes and parents should stop by the US Rowing area and look for the Captain U tent. The Captain U tent, lunchtime Saturday and lunchtime Sunday, right next to US Rowing. Back to the start for the second semi here with, again, in the semifinal 2 for the men's 4, Newport in lane 1, Capital lane 2, Deerfield lane 3, St. Louis lane 4, Saugatuck lane 5, and Gonzaga in lane 6. And tell you what, Matt, here they are, all interconnected in the first 250 meters, but then they begin to spread out. But right now, an early lead, it looks like, from Deerfield. Absolutely.
Spencer Washburn, I'm sure, has his boys really primed for this race, and they shot out of the blocks really to try and assert their dominance early in the race. Saugatuck, not to be outdone, also pushing their bow out into second position, trying to hold off St. Louis in third, and over on the far shore, it does look like even Newport is really trying to fight in there. Wow, Newport really holding into second or third position, but right now, Deerfield is the class of the field by about a quarter of a length. Saugatuck and actually Newport are in second and third, but St. Louis is still within 1 to 2 seats.
Capital not being left out either in lane 2. They're trying to stay in contact with the leader from Deerfield. That boat from Newport looking fine on the far side of the course. In the meantime, just off the pace slightly, about a length back, it's Gonzaga. Beautiful shots from the drone here at Nathan Benderson Park in beautiful Sarasota, Florida on a beautiful Friday afternoon. More semifinals tomorrow, and then some C and D finals. Sunday, the A and B finals will be happening. But right now in the lead in the second semifinal, it's Deerfield out front, down to David.
Up here through 650 meters. They're in a white boat with white blades. They have 3/4 of a length over lane 4. Lane 4 is St. Louis. St. Louis has a couple of feet, almost a deck. It's really more like 3.5, 4 feet over the boat, all the way up in lane 1 from Newport. So those are your top 3, connected with Newport and narrowly red blades, and they're trying to hold off that boat that looks pretty strong up there from Newport in lane 1. And Newport has a bucket on the port side, so you can see the 2 gentlemen on the starboard side are the strokeman and the bow seat, and they have made a little bit of a move, and it is very close now. As we come through the halfway point, it is almost dead even. It's a couple of feet still for St. Louis over Newport, but there is now open water back to a good battle going on for 4th place between the boat in lane 5 from Saugatuck and the boat in lane 2 from Capital. So those are your top 5, but like I said, this semifinal a bit more spaced out. It's almost a full length, and it's so funny, I say that, and then here comes St. Louis a little bit, but it still is almost a full length advantage for Deerfield over St. Louis, and St. Louis has pulled away from Newport. We will see what happens in Newport up there, because St. Louis in the last probably 200 meters has taken almost a full length on that boat from Newport. So we'll see what Newport has left in the tank and whether one of these boats behind them can start to challenge them. The 4th place boat is the boat in lane 5 from Saugatuck. They're in a white boat with black blades as we come through 1250 with your leader. That boat out front from Deerfield in lane 3. The stroke of that boat is Gordon Johnson. He was in the men's 8 that rode at the Junior World Championships last year, and he wants to keep his boat out in front, wants to go start to finish. Full length over St. Louis. St. Louis with 3/4 of a length over Newport, so Newport really hanging on to that 3rd place spot that would put them in the grand final. And it is too close to call for 4th and 5th place between Saugatuck and the boat in lane 2 from Capital. Capital is moving a little bit. They seem to be the boat that's kind of moving more than the others right now relative to each other. They have several feet now on the boat from Saugatuck. I'll give it to you at the finish line. Out in front is Deerfield over St. Louis and the boat from Newport.
Indeed. Things can change in just a few strokes, and they continue to do so. Deerfield still in the lead. St. Louis, Newport, Saugatuck, Capital, Gonzaga, all fighting in this second semifinal for the men's 4. And I notice a little bit of wind. Notice the wind has changed. It's now a crosswind, Matt. And would that make a difference for some of these rowers, or are they just plowing through it?
I think at this part of the race and this part of the season, they can handle anything. A little breeze that's going to pop up in the last 500 meters should not dictate the outcome of the race. These are seasoned rowers. If you're in the men's senior 4 at a national championship, a little breeze isn't going to throw you too much. Deerfield
in the lead, being pursued. It looks like the fight, though, is really going to be for that 2nd and 3rd place. Newport and St. Louis. With Saugatuck in the mix as well, trying to fight their way through. Capital trying to hang on. Gonzaga from Washington, D.C., slightly off the pace, but out in front, Deerfield trying to hold on and fend off a little bit of a challenge from St. Louis here at the end. And Newport looking good, too, over in lane 1 as they come down to the finish line. Inside, those red boys indicating 250 meters. They're less than 100 from the end right now, and it is still Deerfield in the lead. Big push from St. Louis. Big push from Newport, and boy, oh boy, watch out for Saugatuck.
As we cross the finish line, it does look like it will be Deerfield crossing first St. Louis, and it does look like Newport was able to hold off a late charge from Saugatuck.
Then Capital, and here comes Gonzaga, just as quick as that. The end of the second semifinal for the men's 4s, with Deerfield crossing first, and quite a battle there for 2nd and 3rd between St. Louis and Newport. We'll let the refs settle it out, but it did look like that St. Louis did cross it early. So with the changing conditions this afternoon, what can these rowers take back to their fellow crew members, Matt, and share that might be valuable for the rowers who are competing after them?
Again, depending on the strength of each crew, whether that be their technical prowess, whether it's horsepower, they might want to tailor their approach to the race, whether they want to go out hard, or as we've seen from a lot of crews, it seems like from 1250 to 1500 is where a lot of these races are won and lost. People are making strategic moves, saying, I want to just reserve a little bit of energy, see how the field plays out, and then put my foot on the gas at 1250. If anybody else can match it, we'll see how the final few strokes play out. But we've seen a lot of that. It looks like there are a couple of crews that get out early. That's their strategy. If the headwind spins around a little bit, more of a crosswind, you probably want to get out early. Don't leave anything to chance.
We have two lightweight 4 semifinals coming up, the men's first and then the women's. The men's lightweight 4 at the start right now features in lane 1 PNRA Mercer, in lane 2 Cambridge, Ringe, and Latin, lane 3 Long Beach Junior, lane 4 Rye High School, lane 5 St. Louis, and lane 6 Greenwich. The men's lightweight 4s just underway with Long Beach Juniors and Rye battling it out. Rye is hot right now coming out. They now have a deck length lead over the second and third place boats, flanking them, Long Beach Juniors and St. Louis, with PNRA Mercer looking like they're holding on to fourth right now. Cambridge, Ringe, and Latin in fifth, and Greenwich just behind them, still mostly in contact. But boy, a nice start for the Long Beach Juniors, but then Rye just really jumped out there. Really, what kind of strategy do you have, Matt? Do you try to stick to your game plan, or does sometimes the youth of these rowers show when they get a little excited and don't stick to the coach's plan?
I think there's a little bit of everything that'll play into this. Rye was the time trial winner this morning. I think they can go out with a little bit of confidence, and if somebody like Long Beach wants to jump out, I won't say a flash in the pan, but a really hard, high start, they'll be able to handle that, and it certainly looks like they held their pacing, they held their composure, and boy, now they are putting it to good use because they are moving out to a one-length lead with St. Louis and Long Beach in the second and third positions.
And the other boats in the race, Greenwich, Cambridge, Ringe, and Latin, and PNRA Mercer are neck and neck right behind them. All it takes is one little bit offbeat, and you know what can happen. Off to David and
two seats of open water now on second place, St. Louis. St. Louis right in front of us in lane 5 in a white boat with primarily red blades, and they have about a 3/4 length advantage on the boat from Long Beach up there in lane 3. Long Beach also in a white boat with almost completely bright blue blades. There's a couple vertical stripes on the ends of them. They have open water back to 4th and 5th place, really, and 6th place that are all connected behind them. Up in lane 1, it is PNRA Mercer. Just below them, or closer to us in lane 2, is Cambridge, Ringe, and Latin School. And then in lane 6, closest to us, who is sitting in 4th place right now, is the boat from Greenwich. So relatively spaced out, but definitely a good amount of space between the 3rd place boat, Long Beach, and the 4th place boat from Greenwich. We'll see if that changes. But out in front, it continues to be Rye High School with almost 3/4 of a length open water now on St. Louis. And it looks to me like Long Beach making a bit of a move up there on St. Louis. St. Louis had, at its peak, almost 3/4 of a length on Long Beach. Now it's only about 2 seats, and it's getting really close. It is dead even now for second and third between St. Louis and Long Beach as they come through the halfway point. So big move there at 900 meters from Long Beach. Got them about a half a length and put them right into almost second place. They're about a foot behind St. Louis. So tremendous race back and forth going on, but out in front and just continuing to row away with this thing, kind of taking an inch every time they drop in the water, is Rye High School. They have a big G, a black G on the inside of their blades, and they're dropping in and really allowing the boat to move under them. They have no real urgency. These boats behind them are not catching them in any way, so they're sitting up and they're really allowing themselves to get oxygen and let the boat move under them. Great row so far by Rye High School as they approach 1250, and behind them it is dead even. It might actually be a Long Beach advantage now of a foot over St. Louis. St. Louis, you can see at a relatively high rating, they're trying to stick with Long Beach. We'll see if they can do it. The St. Louis boat has a bucket in the 2 and 3 seats on the starboard side. Behind them, a little bit of open water, about a about 3/4 of a length open water back to a good battle for 4th and 5th place. Really too close to call. I'm still going to give it to lane 6, just slightly Greenwich over that boat from PNRA Mercer up there in lane 1. So this semifinal a bit spaced out as we give it to the finish line here as your leader approaches 500 meters to go. It's Rye High School out in front of a solid 2nd place now for Long Beach, starting to row away a little bit from 3rd place St. Louis. Give it to you guys at the finish line.
Rye High School with a great start there and trying to hold on it. You called it, Matt. You said that they won the time trials this morning, looked very confident, and they seems that confidence is holding here in the semifinal.
It looks like it's not only confidence. This is just rowing accuracy. I mean, if you watch the boat as it's coming by, the boat does not slow down. The boat does not, as we call it, check. Every time they put the blade in the water, it just continues to shoot out. The whole game of this is just to get your bow ball out in front, and I tell you, it's just not slowing down. All of their energy is being put into propelling the boat forward, and by doing that, they have really put a large lead on the field.
You're also seeing that synchronicity of the oars. They're all entering the water simultaneously, very smooth move to it. I love the sound of a well-rowed boat as it goes by, that shuk, shuk. And you'll hear it here a lot in this national championship. The 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships from Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida, here at Nathan Benderson Park. Beautiful 90-degree Florida afternoon, and young athletes pouring it all out on the water. Rye still in the lead with Long Beach and St. Louis pursuing. It does appear that the Long Beach boat has an advantage over St. Louis now, and as a matter of fact, the PNRA, Mercer, Cambridge, Ringe and Latin, and Greenwich boats are beginning to catch up with that boat, but out front, looking good, looking smooth, and working well together. It's that Rye High School boat in lane 4 coming to the finish line.
Absolutely. Rye has a really strong, confident row here into the finish line. Long Beach solidly second, but here comes Greenwich in the near lane. Greenwich is going to give St. Louis all they can handle in the last 10 strokes and have really gone through the roof with their rating. They're going to try and reel St. Louis back in and catch them in these last 10 strokes, but the line is going to come really quick for both of these crews.
St. Louis pouring it on. They saw the challenge and met it. As we're crossing the line, it's Rye High School, followed by Long Beach Junior. St. Louis for third, qualifying for the A final. In the B final, it'll be Cambridge, Ringe and Latin, Greenwich, and PNRA Mercer. The men's lightweight fours, semifinal number 1. Rounding out the A final with the next semifinal, and the second semifinal for the men's lightweight fours. In lane 1 will be Pacific. In lane 2, St. Andrew. In lane 3, Miami. In lane 4, Newport. Lane 5, Gonzaga. And lane 6, Seabase. So about an equal representation for both the East Coast and the West Coast in this second semifinal. They're locked in at the starting gate. Beautiful shot from the drone here for the U.S. Rowing video production team. Sliding into place over the wave attenuator in the middle of the lake here at Nathan Benderson Park. You can see the boats on point, and away they go. I couldn't see the flag drop, but I could see those oars begin to move. An early fast start for Miami. Just a slight advantage, but Pacific is hanging right in there, as is St. Andrew, with Newport, Gonzaga, and Seabase in that order. And the first 250 again. Yeah, you can lead in that first 250, but it's the last 250 you really want to be leading in. Poking their bow ball out front first is Miami, but they are being closely pursued by both St. Andrew, Pacific, and Newport on all sides. Now, those are lanes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they are going neck and neck and staying in contact with them in lanes 5 and 6, Gonzaga and Seabase.
This is just great racing. With the men's lightweight category, all of the athletes have to weigh the same, so it really does come down to how hard have they worked, what shape have they gotten themselves into, and what skill can they put on the oar. Currently, it looks like Newport is putting all of those factors into one, really poking their nose out to about a half-length lead, and actually over here in the nearest lane, Seabase is holding strong with Miami looking like they're running third. All boats still within contact of each other.
Really, you can see on the video the difference in stroke rates between the Seabase and Gonzaga boats. Seabase is really at a high stroke rate, and the Gonzaga boat just kind of almost half that smooth rate. But we'll see how it all shakes out. Back to David for the call up near the start.
Two boats from the Newport Beach area in first and second place through 500 meters, because in lane 6 we have Seabase, and they are slightly, well, they, along with Miami, who I had 42 strokes a minute off the line, are really vying for that second place spot with the boat in lane 5 from Gonzaga College High School and the boat in lane 2 from St. Andrew in Roswell, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. So, tremendous race going on here behind Newport. Newport with almost a full length. They're in a white boat with white blades. They have a full length over second place. Looks like lane 3 Miami. Miami went from 42 to 34 is what I had them on the stroke watch, but absolutely dead heated with Miami right now is the boat in lane 2 from St. Andrew. And just to tell you how close this one is, we have 5 boats separated by about 3/4 of a length behind this boat from Newport through 750 meters that's out in front. Newport with a full length on the rest of the field, and this one is a dogfight. It is right now Miami and the boat from St. Andrew that are stroke for stroke. About 3 feet behind them is the boat in lane 5 from Gonzaga College High School from Washington, D.C., who has had just tremendous success at the scholastic level, winning Stotesbury in the 8 like 4 or 5 years in a row. And this 4 is hanging with these gentlemen up front. It's Miami now by a foot over St. Andrew. St. Andrew with about a deck over a hard-charging boat in lane 1 from Pacific. So another California boat in the mix. They're sitting, actually, Pacific is sitting in 4th place now, a couple feet over Gonzaga. Gonzaga's in a white boat with purple blades in lane 5. Gonzaga has about a deck over the boat in lane 6 from Seabase. So, coming through the halfway point, it still is NAC out in front, Newport Aquatic Center. They have about a seat of open water back to Miami, and Miami has about a foot on the boat from St. Andrew, and going right with both of those boats is the boat from Pacific, starting to move away a little bit from Gonzaga and from the boat in lane 6 from Seabase. So, 4 boats really for 3 spots in that grand final that's going to be held on Sunday in this semifinal 2 of the men's lightweight 4. And it looks to be start to finish. They want to do it, at least does Newport. But behind them, it is just a battle, and it's too close to call. A tremendous race, one of the best we've seen all morning of any kind. And it is Miami with maybe a foot over St. Andrew. St. Andrew with about 3 seats over Pacific. Connected with Pacific is the boat in lane 5 from Gonzaga. So a tremendous third 500 here, and then a big sprint at the end could even get Gonzaga into the mix. They're within striking distance, only about a length off the pace in second place of that boat from MRC. So Miami, 1 foot still over St. Andrew. Those 2 boats have just been back and forth. Really, whoever's in the water is kind of in the lead. It's been Miami by maybe a foot or 2 for most of the last 500 meters, but here comes Pacific. Pacific up there in lane 1. Huge move by Pacific. This one is the closest race we have seen to this point. 3 boats separated by a deck. It's Miami with a deck over dead-heated St. Andrew and Pacific. And just as I said that, here goes St. Andrew now. St. Andrew didn't like that move the Pacific put on to close the gap. 500 meters left. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line. What a race going on behind Newport. It's Miami, it is St. Andrew, and it is Pacific in the mix.
Trying to hold on, Newport right there with what a battle going on. This is what rowing's all about. I tell you what, Matt, love seeing it.
Absolutely. St. Andrew looked like they took a little burst there, trying to get their nose out into a solid position. I hope they realize that they can't just take a 10 and expect that that's going to be it. These other crews, Miami and Pacific, are battling it neck and neck. It is bow ball to bow ball. Only Newport has a sizable lead. They look like to be in a qualifying position by about 1 length, but behind them there is a full knockdown, drag-out fight going on.
Gonzaga and Seabay slightly off the pace, but they are still in the mix. It's Newport in the lead with Miami, St. Andrew, and Pacific pursuing as they head towards the final 300 meters of this 2,000-meter race at the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships. 3 boats to go, and look at the move happening there from St. Andrew.
Absolutely, but as soon as you say that, you look at the other boats, and they look to be moving as well. It does look like Pacific might be slipping off the pace just a hair. Miami and St. Andrew appear to have a slight edge. Newport out in front. Newport, Miami. It looks like St. Andrew just starting to nudge ahead of Pacific. It looks like that early move paid off and gave them the confidence to try and stay out in front.
And Newport is feeling the pressure. I saw them lean into their blades as well, and here they come to the finish line with about 3/4 of a boat length lead as they cross the line. A big move from St. Andrew paid off. It is Newport, Miami, St. Andrew 1, 2, 3, and Pacific number 4 with a big push from Gonzaga for number 5 and Seabase for 6 in the second semifinal for the lightweight fours.
Fantastic racing from start to finish, from first to sixth. This is really what a national championship should look like.
And boy, Newport, I knew they felt that pressure because there was a big push from St. Andrew. Miami was trying to hang in there too, and they gave it their all. They did a fine job and came in second. At St. Andrew, what a move there. Pacific fighting all the way down the course as well.
I hope these guys have earned a big pasta dinner tonight. They should have a day off before they'll be fighting for the medal rounds on Sunday. So I hope they can get some hydration, some nutrition, and a little bit of rest because they've put in a lot of work today. A really great battle there to make their way into the medal round.
Lightweights already, and I'm sure they're a little lighter weight now.
Absolutely.
With all that competition, for sure. Again, part of the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships, and, well, the Youth National Championships every year is the College Day, learning about rowing in college, and it's actually not just a day, but 2 this year. Don't forget to stop by the Captain U tent at lunch between 12:30 and 1:30 tomorrow, and Sunday between 11:30 and 12:30 to learn more about the process for rowing in college. Interested athletes and parents should stop by the U.S. Rowing area and look for the Captain U tent. Hanging in right about 90 degrees on this Friday afternoon. Not a cloud. Well, okay, cloud way over there, but hardly a cloud to be seen. Beautiful day here at Nathan Benderson Park. Thank you to all the volunteers and referees making this a safe and also equitable competition. Greatly appreciate all the input from those folks. And thanks a lot again to all our hosts here in Sarasota who have made us feel so welcome with some of that great Southern hospitality.
Looks like we've got the next race is on the course right now. The women's lightweight youth 4 semifinal number 1. In lane 1, it is Port. Lane 2, Saugatuck. Lane 3, Long Beach Junior. Lane 4, Holy Names. Lane 5, Detroit. And Lane 6, Oklahoma City Riversport.
First of the women's lightweight fours semifinals, Long Beach Juniors and Holy Names with the best times in this semifinal from this morning. We'll go to the start and the drone to check out how things are unfolding. And boy, Matt, it looks like a big start from Saugatuck and the Long Beach Juniors. And we've been saying Saugatuck quite a bit these days. They are always lurking right there and in the mix.
Absolutely. A strong program from top to bottom. But at the moment, Long Beach is the class of the field. Long Beach has about a half a length out in front. But again, there's contact between all of these boats. It's still early in the race in the first 500 meters. Everybody going to try and play it out, see how they're going to fare, but it does look like, again, we're going to have a great race all the way to the finish line to see who is going to comprise our A finals and our B finals.
Long Beach out front just slightly over the boat from Saugatuck. Third place belongs to Holy Names right now. Again, they had a great time in the time trial, so they're not doing too bad. Detroit would be in 4th. It's OKC Riversport in 5th, and the group from Port in lane 1 in 6th at this point, but still in contact with the rest of the field. Out front, it is Long Beach by about a half a boat length over Saugatuck and continuing to pour it on. Holy Names now making up some more of the ground right there, and to David to get a better look at what's happening out there on the course.
In third place in lane 4 as they come through 750. And Holy Names finished second in the C final last year in this event, and Saugatuck finished fifth in the B final. So both of these boats sitting in qualifying positions for the grand final are trying to better what they did last year in this event. It's a little bit of open water for Holy Names now. It's 2 seats of open water back to the 4th place boat in lane 5 from Detroit, and starting to challenge Detroit now is the boat right in front of us in lane 6 from OKC River Sport. The OKC boat starting to push up into Detroit, and I think the Detroit ladies didn't want to have anything to do with it, and they have now moved back a seat, and they're starting to pull away again from OKC. So we'll see if those two boats in lanes 5 and 6 kind of pacing each other and fighting with each other can get them some connection that they don't have at the moment with that boat in lane 4 sitting in 3rd place from Holy Names. But as they come through the halfway point, it is still going to be a pretty solid lead here for Long Beach, trying to go start to finish. But they have only about a half a length, so it's relatively close between Long Beach and Saugatuck. And Holy Names is starting to move. I don't know if they decided at halfway they want to move and see what they can do to not only move away from the 4th place boat behind them and really solidify their 3rd place spot, which would put them into the grand final on Sunday. But their move was relatively successful. They took a couple of seats on 2nd place Saugatuck up there in lane 2, and Long Beach has moved out a few more seats now over Saugatuck. So these three boats are not all connected. The 3rd place boat from Holy Names has 2 seats of open water to the stern of the 1st place boat from Long Beach in lane 3, and Long Beach is connected with Saugatuck sitting in 2nd place up there in lane 2. So as they approach 1250 and they get into this third 500, what really the lactic acid builds up, and this is probably the hardest part of the race for these athletes. They go on adrenaline in the last 500 when they start to hear that crowd at the beach, but coming through that red buoy line at 1250, it's still an advantage for Long Beach, trying to put themselves in a middle lane on Sunday. And here comes Holy Names now. Holy Names another move here at 1250 to see what they can do to try to track down Saugatuck, and it's working, but Saugatuck noticed it, and I saw a little bit of a bump from Saugatuck as well. So these coxswains being up in the bows of these boats sometimes is a disadvantage in these situations, not really knowing what's going on behind them. Long Beach has kind of been pacing themselves up there. That coxswain hasn't seen another boat in a long time. They have 3/4 of a length on almost dead heated for 2nd and 3rd, Holy Names and Saugatuck. Unbelievable race for 2nd and 3rd now. They are stroke for stroke at 1,400 meters. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line. There is open water between these three boats and the rest of the field. It is new 2nd place, Holy Names, behind Long Beach and ahead of Saugatuck.
Race continues to unfold, and I would, if I was Long Beach, I'd be a little bit concerned because Saugatuck and Holy Names are dogging them all the way down the course right there. Holy Names, after a slow start, has really settled in nicely. And I want to ask you, Matt, real quick about the, pros and cons of bow cocks and stern cocks. Any advantage in your opinion?
There turns out to be a pretty significant advantage to having the coxswain from a balance standpoint in the boat. It does run out. It's a little bit more set and stable. There's a school of thought that says having the coxswain at the stern allows you exactly what we were talking about, to see your crew, to take a peek over your shoulder, to see the crews behind you. They don't have a rear view mirror in the boat, although sometimes that would come in handy, similar to like David had said, Long Beach coxswains has not seen anybody for quite some time. These first three leading crews really confidently out in front. Again, Long Beach, Holy Names, and Saugatuck appear to have the first three positions locked up. Detroit is going to make a late charge to see if they can get back onto terms with Saugatuck over there. But this has been a long 2,000 meters with Long Beach in front, with Holy Names now tracking them down and reclaiming overlap with them. Saugatuck appears that they're going to bring it up, but those top three crews seem pretty confidently in 1, 2, 3.
Oh, indeed. Long Beach Juniors feeling the pressure right now. Coxswain glancing to her right and seeing this boat from Holy Names charging their way. They're in contact. She calls for a little extra, the Long Beach Cox does, and she is beginning to pour it on as the Long Beach boat begins to pull away, and as they come to the finish line, they pull within, they do make it to a full boat length lead over the 2nd place boat from Holy Names. Saugatuck will be 3rd, all going to the A final. Big push here from Detroit right at the finish with a nice 4th place showing in this first semifinal for the lightweight fours. Then it looks like OKC Riversport, and then Port Rowing coming in the first semifinal for the women's lightweight fours. And just on that stern bow cox thing, every single one of those boats did have a bow cox. And I like your no rear view mirrors in those boats, man.
Absolutely.
Back to the start for the second semifinal in the women's lightweight fours. In lane 1, it's NorCal. Lane 2, Miami. Lane 3, Wayland Weston. Lane 4, R.A. Rye. Lane 5, Saratoga. Lane 6, Three Rivers. Looks like Row America Rye been doing a great show here. Nice fast start for them, but it's Miami and NorCal going head-to-head initially with Row America Rye right behind them. And still right now I'll give fourth for the moment and only for a moment to Wayland Weston with Saratoga coming up. Three Rivers right there as well, and look at that sight, Matt. 6 boats within a half a boat length of each other.
Boy, I can't even use sarcasm. I'm just going to flat out say it. These are perfect conditions. I want to get out there and row myself. This is the sort of water that everybody dreams of, and this is the sort of a championship course that the Youth National Championships deserve. These girls are out there right now. Row America Rye out in front. Miami trying to chase them down, and actually even Three Rivers and Saratoga look like they're going to battle it all out.
All within boat length, I'd say almost I'd say 3/4 of a boat length of each other as we see it from the drone, but it does look like the Row America Rye has a slight advantage now over the boat from Miami, which is settling into its pace. Wayland Weston looking strong in lane 3 as well, and as we mentioned before, even Three Rivers, Saratoga, NorCal hanging right in there in the second semifinal for the women's lightweight fours.
2, Miami, and lane 5, Saratoga. Both of those boats only maintain about a deck advantage, so we're talking about 3 or 4 feet over lanes 3 and 6. Lane 3 is Wayland Weston, and in lane 6 is Three Rivers. 2 boat lengths here at 650 meters separating all 6 boats. One of the closest races we have seen all day, and it should just be very interesting to see what happens in this middle 1,000. And then I can guarantee you at the finish line there's going to be a very close finish here, at least for second and third. Row America Rye does have a relatively strong advantage. They're out here in their red, white, and blue blades, white boat. They have half a length on second place. I'm going to give right now to lane 2, Miami. They're in a black boat. They finished in the bronze medal position, third in the country in this event last year. As we approach 750, Miami has about a deck on now dead heated lanes 3 and 5. Wayland Weston in lane 3 and Saratoga in lane 5 are dead heated at 750 for that third spot in the grand final. This is the second semifinal of the women's lightweight youth 4. Up in lane 1 in 6th place at the moment is NorCal from Redwood City. Closest to us in lane 6, sitting in 5th place but connected with the 3rd and 4th place boats, is a boat from Three Rivers. They finished in 7th place in the nation in this event last year. So we have some firepower. Up front, it's Row America Rye. They continue to maintain just about a half a length, a comfortable lead, but not a tremendous lead over still second place Miami. Miami with still a deck now over what looks to be 3rd place is the boat in lane 3 from Wayland Weston. Wayland Weston in lane 3 in a white boat. Their blades are orange on the top and maroon on the bottom. They are making it a little bit closer here on Miami and pulling away just a bit from the boat in lane 5 from Saratoga. Through the halfway point now, it's still Row America Rye, about 3/4 of a length now, so they maybe have taken a seat or two in the last 300 meters. It is a new second place. It's Wayland Weston. They have put themselves about 2 feet ahead of Miami up there. So that is just a great battle going on. Wayland Weston probably taking about 3 or 4 seats on Miami over the last 400 meters to get into second place. Miami is a solid 3rd place still. They have 3/4 of a length over the boat in lane 5 from Saratoga. Saratoga in front of us in lane 5, rowing in what looks like a white boat, maybe a pocock, and their blades are very distinctive because they are a bunch of vertical stripes, black and white, or navy blue and white. They're pretty easy to see. They almost look like a zebra. As we come through the red buoy line at 1250 with your leader, Row America Rye, it continues to be between half a length and 3/4 of a length advantage. Second place is still Wayland Weston. They have made it a bit of more of an advantage over Miami. Waylon Weston now with half a length over Miami. Miami with a full length over Saratoga. Another boat that's moving just a bit right now in this third 500 is the boat all the way up in lane 1 from NorCal, trying to get into the mix, getting a little bit closer to Saratoga, but still about 3/4 of a length behind Saratoga. So it is spacing out just a bit, with Waylon Weston kind of pulling away a bit from Miami. It is still out in front, almost at 1,400 meters from Row America Rye in lane 4. They have half to 3/4 of a length still over second place Waylon Weston. Waylon Weston with 3/4 of a length now over third place Miami. I will give it to you guys at the finish line as they approach 500 to go.
Get ready to roar, because this is a race shaping up here in the second semifinal for the women's lightweight fours. Look at that out there with Row America Rye, Waylon Weston, Saratoga, Miami, all in the mix. NorCal, Three Rivers. He let those rowers hear your roar as they come by the beach with less than 500 meters to go, looking for that chance for a national championship position, at least a chance in that A final for the Youth National Championships for 2017.
As we mentioned earlier, that third 500 is really where champions are made. It looked like Waylon Weston decided that third 500 was going to be their own. They really put the hammer down. They went from even maybe a little bit down on Miami, and now they have a solid length, and they're pushing back into Row America Rye right now. Row America Rye has been rowing from the front pretty much from stroke number 1, but now here comes Waylon Weston. Waylon Weston is really going to give them all they can handle. Again, it is 3 to go to the final right now. It looks like Row America Rye, Waylon Weston, and Miami have those top 3 positions. Again, we don't have Saratoga or NorCal out of it just yet.
But they are running out of water here as they come into the red buoys, indicating 250 meters from the finish. Waylon Weston making a big push right now on Row America Rye. How much of a difference does it make, Matt, to the difference between 1 and 2? I mean, there's a satisfaction, but you don't want to put it all out there today.
It depends on how you came into the race. If you came in expecting that you were not going to be able to be touched, a crew that can row up on you like Waylon Weston just did on Row America Rye might shake your confidence, but here in the last 15 strokes, there goes Row America Rye. It looks like they had the confidence and control, but Waylon Weston really putting in a strong second 1,000, pulling open water ahead of a really solid Miami crew. It will be Row America Rye coming across by about 3/4 of a length ahead of Waylon Weston, with Miami in third, followed by Saratoga, and it's looking like Three Rivers and NorCal.
Another great race in the women's lightweight fours. The men's lightweight eights up next, and then the big boys and girls will be fighting with the women's eights and the men's eights for the final semifinals of the afternoon. Parents, adults feeling a bit thirsty, a reminder there's a shuttle running around the course over to the Ultra Bar on the far shore where they're serving adult beverages. Just check out that shuttle as it comes back by, or walk around there yourself as we go to the lightweight eights. Underway in lane 1, it's the Cincinnati Juniors. Lane 2, Saugatuck. Lane 3, Parati. Lane 4, CRI. Lane 5, Manhasset High School. Lane 6, Westerville. They're underway, and it looks like a big Cincinnati Junior start here. Almost a half a boat length lead over Saugatuck and Parati in the lanes next to them. CRI not to be left out, followed by Manhasset and then Westerville in this first semifinal for the men's lightweight eights. Cincinnati Juniors, the core program, the longtime program in Cincinnati, Ohio, rowing at Harsha Lake, longtime hosts of the Midwest Juniors. And that's where many of these boats qualified today, including the Cincinnati Junior boats. This lightweight eight, big, strong start right now. They're in first. It looks like second belongs to Parati. Third belongs to Saugatuck with CRI right there, too. Then Manhasset and Westerville.
And I'm going to have to say, I'm going to be watching out for CRI. CRI put down the fastest time in the time trial, actually besting Belen Jesuit's time this morning, which was a big surprise for some around here. I have a feeling CRI knew that it was in their quiver the entire time. It was an arrow they wanted to pull out. They've just got to get through the semifinal here in a qualifying position to see other crews in the A final.
Let's see how it's going, David.
from the Woodlands, Texas, outside of Houston. I think it's just north of Houston, and their advantage for second place over CRI in lane 4 that's sitting in third place is only about 3 feet, is Parati. So Parati in second place, CRI in third place, and then too close to call, maybe it's the boat in lane 2 from Saugatuck that's sitting in fourth place by a couple of feet over these dead heat boats right in front of us in lanes 5 and 6, Manhasset High School in lane 5 and Westerville in lane 6. So again, these gentlemen really booking it down the race course, and shot out like a cannon was Cincinnati Juniors to get the lead here. As they come through 750, they continue to have that lead. 38 strokes a minute up there for those gentlemen from Cincinnati. They're rowing in their gray boat, their blades a couple shades of blue, and they actually have extended their advantage. It's now too close to call for second place. It might actually be a seat advantage. New second place is CRI, Community Rowing from Boston, in a red Hudson right in front of us in lane 4. Has 3 feet maybe on the boat in lane 3 from Parati. Parati trying to hang in there, and they're doing a good job of it. Pretty consistent speed now between these two boats in second and third. It's about a deck for CRI over Parati, and Parati has almost 3/4 of a length over fourth place Manhasset High School in lane 5. Behind Manhasset is the boat in lane 2, a couple of feet behind Manhasset, and that is a boat from Saugatuck. Coming through the halfway point, it's a little bit closer because CRI continues to find speed through the center of this race. Up front, it is still Cincinnati Juniors. Their lead is only a half a length now. At one point, it was about 3/4 of a length. CRI half a length behind them in second place with a deck advantage over third place, the boat in lane 3 from Parati. Connected with Parati, we have two boats, Saugatuck in lane 2 and the boat in lane 5 from Manhasset High School. They're almost too close to call, and they have a couple of seats into the third place boat of connection from that boat from Parati from outside of Houston. So up front, getting even closer at 1250 with these guys really moving, throwing their backs into it. It should be a great last 500 meters. Here comes lane 4, CRI. It is within a couple of seats now with Cincinnati up front. Cincinnati hanging on to the lead in lane 1, but here comes CRI. They want it. They want it bad, and going with them is Parati. Dropping back. Looks like Parati almost has a full length on fourth place, which is a boat in lane 5 from Manhasset High School. In front of us, white boat, orange blades. Manhasset High School now has 4 seats on Saugatuck in lane 2. So we'll see what happens in the last 500 meters as I give it to you all in the booth. Up front, you have a new leader by 1 seat. It is CRI. They let Cincinnati Juniors kind of get out there, but with 500 meters to go, getting to that red buoy line first is going to be CRI. Second place, Cincinnati Juniors. Third place, Parati.
A beautiful sight to be seen. I tell you what, look at those colors. Look at all those young athletes working their hearts out as they come by the beach, and look at this race. Cincinnati Juniors still in the lead with CRI and Parati pursuing well, with Saugatuck trying to hang in there. Manhasset and Westerville slightly off the pace. Cincinnati charged out to an early start. And again, part of the strategy, sometimes it is try to get out there and lead the whole way, but you have to remember that you still need to save some energy for the end there.
Well, absolutely, and a crew that's in an outside lane may be a lower-seeded crew based on their time trials. Now, again, that doesn't matter in the overall scheme of things, but what you're seeing here is they may have felt pressure that they're going to have an above-average race to get into the A-final, and they are giving an above-average performance right now. CRI currently in the lead with Parati and Cincinnati qualifying in the top 3 positions. Manhasset, Saugatuck trying to chase them down, with Westerville trying to get back into the mix.
Big pulls here in the final few hundred meters. It is a nice pull from CRI right there with Parati, and it's a Cincinnati Juniors charging back too. They want to make a good showing. They are pursuing CRI. As a matter of fact, I would give them the advantage over the Parati boat right now. But CRI with a big charge right now as they cross the finish line first with a 4-seat advantage over Parati, but Parati pulls hard there at the end too, and it is their chance in second, Cincinnati Juniors in third, followed by the Manhasset High School, then Saugatuck, and Westerville.
You can really see these guys as they hit the finish line. Most of these guys are completely gassed. It's been a long day. It's been a long season. For some of them, it'll continue into the A final, but for some of them, they were giving it their all to try and get in. You can see the Parati Bauman splashing water, realizing they are going to have a chance to vie for a national championship.
Wow, what a move right there in the last 50 meters or so. They really reached deep and pulled every one of those athletes. It was interesting to see from our perspective how much movement was happening between those boats. CRI, very strong finish with Parati right there. Parati, I think, had the best strong finish. And the Cincinnati Juniors reaching deep, too, and digging as well. So the second semifinal for the men's lightweight eights, New Canaan in lane 1, the Atlanta Juniors in lane 2, Marin in lane 3, Balin Jesuit, mentioned by Matt just a few minutes ago, in lane 4, a very fast time this morning, Oakland Strokes in lane 5, New Trier in lane 6. They're locked in, waiting for the alignment judge to raise the flag. Starting judge polling them. Waiting for the start here, patiently. So before the start of each rate, the referees poll the boats. Explain polling there, Matt.
Well, they make sure that all crews are straight and ready. They go through making sure that all of the crews are aligned, they're locked in, and now that we have a start, it does look like Belen has jumped out to a charging, commanding lead in the first 10 strokes. I've watched this crew been rowing. They've actually been rowing up for the majority of the season into the men's heavyweight varsity and doing extremely well.
Almost in the first 15 strokes, they have nearly 1 boat length lead over the field. But not to be left behind, New Canaan and Marin are pursuing, with Oakland Strokes hanging in there as well, and the Atlanta Juniors. New Trier still in touch, but it's Balin Jesuit that is out there fast and furious.
Oakland Strokes and Marin look like they're going to be some of the next two contenders. Again, it's still early in the game. There's going to be a lot to play for. Again, these two West Coast crews between Oakland Strokes and Marin, they're going to have a little bit of a hometown fight that they want to prove something coming all the way over from the West Coast. But right now, Belen is really just storming out there. They're putting their foot down and saying, we are here to win a national championship.
Now, I'm noticing something a little strange here, Matt, as they are stroking. Belen is going to the catch, and it seems hesitating for a moment before they dip their oars.
Well, it depends on each crew's style and each crew's skill level. Sometimes they will hang at the catch a little bit. Sometimes they want to make sure that their blades are locked in. Remember, they're not moving water. They're trying to move the boat over and through the water. They're trying to anchor their blades as they take each stroke.
Now it looks like they have swapped their technique because there's not as much of that hesitation, and they're getting smooth, reaching into their rhythm and feeling it. And so is the boat from Oakland Strokes right next to him in second, with Marin in third, to David for the call.
Second place crew in this event, and they have a slight overlap on Belen. They're the only one still overlapped with Belen Jesuit as we come through 750 is Oakland. Oakland in second place. In third place, it's Marin, 3 seats behind Oakland. They're in a black boat up there. They finished 4th in this event last year in lane 3 they are, and then closest to us is the 4th place boat, about 4 seats off the pace of Marin, and it is the boat in lane 6 from New Trier. New Trier finished 6th in this event last year. So you have 4 boats in lanes 3 through 6 who were in the grand final. One of them's not going to make the grand final this time, but out front with a commanding lead right now, I had him 49 strokes a minute off the line, is Belen Jesuit, this school that started in Cuba and moved here after Fidel Castro, who is an alum of the school, drove them out of Cuba. It is now a school in West Miami for boys. It is not a very big school, and it is just tremendous what they have done with this program. Full length of open water over lane 5 Oakland Strokes. Oakland Strokes now with almost 3/4 of a length over their rivals in lane 3 from Marin. Marin with half a length on the boat in lane 6, trying to hang in there, which is a boat from New Trier right in front of us in a black Resolute. So those are your top 4. 5th place boat is a boat up there in lane 2 from Atlanta Juniors, and in 6th place, hanging on to Atlanta Juniors, is a boat in lane 1 from New Canaan. Oakland Strokes hanging with Belen here. I see the Belen coxswain. He is not moving at all. He looks very comfortable in his seat, and the Belen's trying to go start to finish, put themselves in lane 3 or 4 for that grand final, and going to try to defend that gold medal from last year in the men's lightweight 8. Almost a full length, but still a little bit of overlap with Oakland. Oakland is still pulling away a bit from Marin, and Marin's starting to get a little bit of a challenge. Here comes New Trier in lane 6. We'll see what happens in the last 500, but those 4 boats are really pretty commandingly ahead of the rest. Atlanta may have a slight overlap with New Trier, but it's almost a full length 4th place New Trier over Atlanta. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line as they approach 500 meters to go. It is Belen Jesuit trying to go start to finish in their bright gold boat in lane 4 over Oakland Strokes in lane 5 and Marin in lane 3.
And I tell you what, Matt, they really are, as an old friend of mine always says, they're putting on a clinic there in that boat there in lane 4.
Yes, they are.
Belen Jesuit in the lead as they're coming down here in the final semifinal for the lightweight 8s in the men, with Marin, Oakland Strokes pursuing. All these boats working hard, wanting to try to make the final, and in the case of Belen, to also get a good spot in that final, because those lanes 3 and 4 are the prime spots on the course, because you have a chance to see all your competitors as you are there and be able to survey the field easily if you're a coxswain. Belen Jesuit just, again, putting on a clinic, continuing to move forward, being pursued vigorously by Oakland Strokes with Marin. Look at New Trier putting on a move here in the final 300 meters, trying to secure a spot perhaps in the final as well. But it's going to be quite a fight here at the end with Marin, Oakland Strokes, New Trier, Belen Jesuit, all in the fight. The Atlanta Juniors moving forward as well. New Canaan staying in touch. Belen trying to fend off some advances from the Oakland Strokes, but they are coming down to the line, Matt.
Absolutely. Belen has really held that position. They've been about 1 length up. Marin and Oakland Strokes going pretty close. I think Oakland has a slight lead, but it looks like New Trier is trying to squeeze in there and catch Marin off guard. Marin just looked over and realized we're going to have to take a 10 to really punch it, and it is... Oh, it is going to be close, but it does look like Marin just held off a hard-charging New Trier with Atlanta and New Canaan rounding out the field.
New Trier, that big push in the final 150. They came within, I'd say, 4 feet of catching up with that boat from Marin. As you said, Matt, boy, they were pushing hard, and Marin looked like they were slacking off a bit, but when they saw the charge, their coxswain saw that charge, and they had them respond.
That was a really nice call. I don't know if Marin coxswain was looking over. Again, the angle for some of us when we're looking up the course can be deceiving. Sometimes it can look like the crews in the far lanes may be ahead, and then the near crews zip up. But the nice thing is those coxswains have these buoyed lanes markers. They can look across and really get a fair sense of where they are from seat by seat. If they've got a lead, they know it, and they're certainly going to let their crew know it. If another crew is charging up, all of those rowers are really going to try and hold them off as best they can.
Semifinals for the women's 8 and the men's 8. The final races of the day about to get underway. The 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships here in Sarasota. Again, remember to stop by the Captain U tent at lunch tomorrow or Sunday to learn more about the process for rowing in college. Interested athletes and parents should stop by the U.S. Rowing area and look for the Captain U tent. Some beautiful sights out here on the water at Nathan Benderson Park in beautiful Sarasota on this 90-degree Florida afternoon. The 8s in the starting block, waiting to get underway. The women's 8 semifinal number 1 features Green Lake in lane 1, PNRA Mercer in lane 2, Chicago in lane 3, Saugatuck in lane 4, Marina Aquatic Center in lane 5, and Connecticut in lane 6. The women's 8 underway at the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships. These are the senior boats rowing towards that championship opportunity. And they're underway with all 6 boats in close proximity.
In lane 4, Saugatuck is the reigning national champion. They had the fastest time of the day, but that really, again, that doesn't mean anything when it comes to head-to-head racing.
Trying to get a perspective on these boats, all still within touch of each other. It looks like a fair start. They're through the first 250. A fast start from Green Lake over in lane 1 with, it looks like, Saugatuck and Chicago battling there too. Actually, Chicago with just a bit more relaxed start. Marina Aquatic Center with a good showing as well. As they come by our drone, we can see that it is Green Lake number 1 with Saugatuck number 2, and then really a dogfight for 3 and hard to call, with only the boat from Connecticut slightly off the pace at about a boat length back. We'll go to David to have him pick up the call and let us know what it looks like up near the front.
Repeat in this event is Saugatuck. They are getting a tremendous push right now through 500 meters from the boat in lane 5 from Marina. Marina is only a couple of feet off of Saugatuck's pace. There are 2 sisters in the Saugatuck boat that were both on the junior national team. One was in the women's 8, one was in the straight 4. And like I said, they're trying to defend their national championship. They've had a stranglehold on this event the last 3 years, and they want to make it count here again in semifinal 1 of the women's youth 8. Behind them, it continues to be Marina, and then also all the way up in lane 1 is Green Lake in the mix here at about 650 meters into this first semifinal. All these boats still connected. The only one off the pace is the boat closest to us that finished 3rd in this event last year, Connecticut. They're off the pace just a bit, but still within striking distance if they can have a good middle of this race. Out front at 750 at Saugatuck, half a length over the boat in lane 5 from Marina Aquatic Center, rowing in Los Angeles, has about a deck over the boat all the way up in lane 1. That boat from Green Lake with a couple of feet over the boat just above Saugatuck, which is Chicago. Chicago finished 5th in this event last year, and they want to make that grand final again. They are right there with that boat from Green Lake from Seattle at the top of the race course. And in between Green Lake and Chicago, you have PNRA Mercer, who finished 4th in this event last year. So ton of firepower, but out front and starting to take a commanding lead is the gray King 8 with black blades from Saugatuck. As they approach the halfway point, they hit that red buoy line at 1,000 meters. They're going to have a full length advantage, is Saugatuck, trying to defend that national title. Now they have a seat of open water, starting to row away a little bit from second place Marina in lane 5 hanging on. Their blades are red on the top, navy blue on the bottom, and here comes lane 3. Lane 3 is Chicago. Like I said, they finished 5th last year. They are dead even now in their black Resolute up there in lane 3 with Marina in front of us in lane 5. Great stroke for stroke battle between those two, Chicago and Marina, for 2nd and 3rd. Going with them, but about 4 seats behind, is Green Lake, and Green Lake has about 2 seats on the boat in between Green Lake and Chicago, which is the boat from PNRA Mercer. So, as we see the boat out front, Saugatuck, approach that red buoy line, which tells them they have 750 meters to go. We have a new second place. It is the boat in lane 3 from Chicago. Chicago with a couple of feet as they come through that red buoy line over Marina. God, just so close between these two. It's been back and forth. Marina had them by a couple of feet for a while. Now it's Chicago by a couple of feet. And those two boats are pacing each other, trying to stay ahead of your new 4th place and starting to really push up and get into the mix. Moving away from Green Lake is that boat in lane 2 from PNRA Mercer. 2nd through 4th places here, just so close. Even 5th place Green Lake, only about a half a length behind the two boats that are vying for 3rd place. We are going to have a battle for these spots in the grand final behind Saugatuck. Saugatuck with 500 meters to go. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line. Too close to call behind them, Marina and the boat from Chicago right there.
Just some amazing racing happening right now, and this is only the first of 4 such races as we wrap up competition on this afternoon. And boy, you called Saugatuck there, Matt, and that looks like they're delivering.
It certainly does. They're out there in front, similar to Belen's performance in the previous race. Again, they have a solid 1 length, maybe a shade of open water lead. Behind them is where the real battle is going to go on. We're going to focus on Chicago, Marina Aquatic Center, and PNRA Mercer that are going to have 3 boats fighting for 2 spots in Sunday's A final gold medal round.
Saugatuck continuing to lead, but it's not over till you cross that finish line. I've seen too many races that one little mistake just 100 meters from the end sinks it all. But right now, Saugatuck is putting together a great row in this first semifinal for the women's 8. Saugatuck in the lead, a battle to Chicago and Marina Aquatic Center, along with PNRA Mercer. Not to be left out, Green Lake is clinging tenaciously. Connecticut catching up with the field as well, but it's Saugatuck with an open water lead over the second place boat for Marina Aquatic Center, with Chicago threatening, and here comes PNRA Mercer. It's just 150 meters to go. Saugatuck looking cool, calm, collected, picks up the pace to leave them behind, but a 3-way fight for second and third. Here comes a big push from Marina Aquatic Center. They have now passed Chicago. PNRA Mercer trying to catch up with Chicago. Chicago trying to stay in the mix, but it's Marina Aquatic Center with a big push in second place, and it is Chicago holding on for third, and the third spot in the A final with PNRA Mercer in fourth, Green Lake in fifth, and Connecticut coming in sixth in this first. Just the first of the big boat semifinals. Wow, what a performance there at the end, Matt. You could just see some of the strategy working and just see that desire and determination in those athletes.
Absolutely, and you know that the rowers have to be gassed when even the coxswains are going for water bottles.
Really? Well, you know, yelling takes a lot of energy.
Well, absolutely, and they are an important part of the crew, and for a lot of those crews there right at the end, I'm sure their coxswain played a huge part of it. The rowers have to put in all of that energy, making sure they know where they are. And again, that was a great battle between Marina Chicago and PNRA Mercer for those qualifying positions. But again, there were only 2 spots because Saugatuck had put in the work early.
Second semifinal for the women's 8 on the water in the starting dock, ready to get aligned and almost ready to start. Capital Crew from California in lane 1, Nashville in lane 2, the Cincinnati Juniors in lane 3, the fastest qualifiers in the semifinal, Marin in lane 4, Greenwich in lane 5, and CRI in lane 6. And Matt, they are off.
Again, this is going to be a really great battle. The times in the time trial were all so close. This is really anybody's game. Nobody's going to be taking this for granted. Even though we know Marin and Cincy had some of the fastest times from that, again, I wouldn't count Nashville or Greenwich out right off the bat. And you know the Capital and CRI still want to make their mark on this 2017 Youth National Championship.
And even in just the first 200 meters, you can see a mean race shaping up. 5 boats all within a seat or 2 of each other. And the boat that's just slightly behind the CRI boat in lane 6 is only about a quarter of a boat length back. But out in front, it is Marin to begin with the Cincinnati Juniors right behind, then Nashville, then Capital Crew. Greenwich is right there in the mix, too. Hard to call which. Greenwich actually might be in second, and it looks like Greenwich is actually making a bit of a move and trying to go into first. So 1, 2, 3 is hard to call at this point, and probably will be right to the end, Matt. Just amazing to watch these boats move.
Here we go with semifinal 2 of the women's youth 8, and it appears as they come to the 500-meter point where we are located that your leader is the boat in lane 4 from Marin. They finished 6th in this event last year. The stern pair of this Marin 8 is the stern pair of last year's junior national team women's 8, and they're in the opposite order in this Marin 8, but they have about a half a length here, does Marin in lane 4 over Cincinnati Juniors in lane 3. Cincinnati with then a deck over the boat in lane 5 from Greenwich. So those are your top 3. Also in the mix is a boat in lane 2 from Nashville. And those are your top 4. CRI is in lane 6. And up in lane 1 is Capital. This Cincinnati boat finished second in this event last year. They want to turn that silver medal into a gold medal. They are getting a fight here from the boat that's sitting ahead of them as we speak. Half a length ahead is Marin. Marin half a length ahead of Cincinnati. Cincinnati in second place, and it's now too close to call between Lane 5 Greenwich and Lane 2 Nashville for that third spot as we come through 750. Top three will move on to the grand final on Sunday to try to vie for the top 6 spots in the nation in the women's Youth 8, and it is a very controlled row, it looks like for me right now, from Marin. I had them 46 strokes a minute off the line. I had Cincinnati Juniors a little bit lower, about 44 strokes a minute, and it got Marin the lead that they are continuing to hang on to. Maybe they've worked out another seat or so, but it's just about a half a length over Cincinnati Juniors. Cincinnati Juniors with 3/4 of a length over still absolutely dead heated Lane 2 Nashville and Lane 5 from Greenwich. Those are your top 4. Behind them, as we see the helicopter go overhead, it is CRI sitting in 5th place with maybe a slight overlap on that boat in Lane 5 from Greenwich, but it's almost a full length for both Greenwich and Nashville over 5th place CRI as we come through the halfway point. It is still half a length lead, maybe a half a length plus a seat, so almost 3/4 of a length now for Marin out front in Lane 4. They're rowing in a silver boat, looks like a King 8. There is a bucket in the 5 and 4 seats on the starboard side. And they are controlled, like I said. It looks like a row that they can maintain all the way down the race course. So they're going to try to go start to finish, put themselves in a middle lane next to Saugatuck for that grand final. And it is half a length for Marin still over Cincinnati Juniors, who has pulled away from 3rd place Lane 5 Greenwich. Greenwich now has 4 or 5 seats on a little bit of a fading Nashville. We'll see if Nashville can get back into the mix. As we approach 1250, it is Nashville half a length behind the Greenwich boat in Lane 5. So a big move there at the halfway point from Greenwich has them in a solid 3rd place position, which would put them in the grand finals. Up front, still half a length advantage for Marin. They have held this advantage really almost all the way down the race course since we picked them up at 500 meters. Cincinnati Juniors still in 2nd place. They have maybe a seat of open water back to 3rd place Greenwich. Greenwich finished in 7th place last year in this event. They're in a black boat in front of us, white blades, and they have now 3/4 of a length advantage for 3rd place. So a pretty solid advantage as they come through with 500 meters to go. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line. Marin over Cincinnati and Greenwich.
The shape of things to come. Just imagine what those finals are going to look like on Sunday afternoon. And a reminder that you can tell Grandma and the rest of the family and friends that U.S. Rowing is doing live streaming of the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships on the U.S. Rowing YouTube channel. You can check the website and search for that to tune them in so they can see the great racing like you're seeing right now with Marin and Cincinnati Juniors battling it out. It does look like Nashville has faded slightly. Greenwich in a solid 3rd place with Capital Crew and CRI racing in this second semifinal for the women's 8s.
Really strong row here coming out of Marin. They're really having nice, long, controlled strokes. Their rating actually just went up. They're going to try and push away from Cincinnati, try and put a little bit of an emphasis on this, show them that they are in charge, but Cincinnati's having none of that, and they're coming right back at them punch for punch. Greenwich still holding on to that 3rd position by about a length over Nashville. The top 3 crews will advance to Sunday's A final. Continues to be Marin, leading by about a half a length over Cincinnati Juniors.
But Cincinnati looks like they're pushing them in, too. But Marin staying cool in the challenge. Coming down to the line. Cincinnati picks up their rate as well as they head towards the finish line. Marin sees that. Their coxswain senses that and cranks them up as well, but it is Marin by 3 seats at the finish. Cincinnati in 2nd, length ahead of the boat from Greenwich. Then it looks like Nashville is trying to catch up and hold on. A late charge from CRI, followed by Capital Crew in 5th and 6th, respectively.
We're in for a great battle on Sunday. I tell you what, between the Saugatuck and the Marin boats, Both of them looked strong and confident, and I tell you what, I think Cincinnati Juniors are going to come have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder with something to prove. So we'll have a great Grade A final on Sunday in this women's youth senior varsity 8.
Just imagine Saugatuck, the juniors, Marin, and more in that A final on Sunday again. U.S. Rowing live streaming the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships from here in Sarasota. Now to the men's eights. The men's eights first semifinal. Greenwich in lane 1, Rose City in lane 2, Gonzaga in lane 3, Newport in lane 4, Cincinnati Juniors in lane 5, and the Everett Association in lane 6, locked into the starting dock, waiting for the flag to go up and drop once they're aligned in the first of the semis. One of the next to last race of the day is now underway.
And I tell you what, there are a lot of people out there on the internet who have been talking about this race for the entire year. And I tell you what, on Reddit and a number of the other chat boards, Newport has been the crew to beat. They really know that they've got something special going on this year. Gonzaga is a perennial powerhouse high school out of the D.C. area. They also have had major success in this event over the years. So this will be exciting to come down to the finish line.
And it is Newport and the Cincinnati Juniors leaping out from the start right now. Newport in the lead, but only slightly over the Juniors, maybe a 2-seat advantage. Hard to call third there, though, Matt. I'd have to say Rose City and Gonzaga looking real good, though Rose City does seem to have the advantage as the drone changes position. We can see a better angle. Greenwich still in there. Everett Association trying to hang into the pack, but it is Newport out in front through the first 300 meters of this first semifinal for the men's eights. Newport looking fine. The Cincinnati Juniors right there with them. And it looks like a strong showing from Gonzaga and Rose City as well. Those are lanes 4, 5, 3, and 2 for those of you keeping track at home. Greenwich about a half a boat length behind the boat from Rose City. But Newport out in front as we go to David Wyant up on the attenuator, bringing us the call from 500 meters to 1,500 meters, with Newport still in the lead, but the Cincinnati Juniors charging.
In front of us looks like a Hudson. Good-looking boat. Their blades are a white triangle on the tip, a light blue on the top, and a teal on the bottom. They have second place by 4 seats over the boat in lane 3 from Gonzaga College High School from the Washington, D.C. area. Again, we talked about them earlier. They have won some scholastic championships in the high school version of nationals and a bunch of Stotesbury Cups, and they're right in the mix here. They finished 5th last year in this event, and the 6th seed in that boat was in the men's pair at Junior Worlds last summer. 750 meters in, it's more of a lead. It's now a 6 or 7 seed advantage for Newport in their yellow Empacher white blades in lane 4. Still second place is Cincinnati Juniors. They have about a deck and a seat or so on that boat from Gonzaga. Gonzaga with almost a full length on the boat from Rose City from Portland, Oregon in lane 2, sitting in the 4th place position. They finished 6th place last year in this event. So they made the grand final last year. You have 3 boats that made the grand final, with Newport finishing in 4th, Gonzaga 5th, and Rose City in 6th. And that's how they are right next to one another in this first semifinal. As we come through the halfway point, it's still Newport out in front. Newport with a 7-seat advantage over Cincinnati Juniors, and it's gotten closer between Cincinnati and Gonzaga. Gonzaga has made a move, and it is almost dead even now. Second and third, stroke for stroke, is Gonzaga, lane 3. Cincinnati Juniors in lane 5. Out front continues to be Newport. Newport, last time they were here in 2015, finished in 2nd place in this event to Oakland Strokes. So they want to finish one better this time in 2017. They look like they will get a chance as we approach 1250. They are out in front, almost a full length now. The coxswain sitting right on the bow ball of 2nd place, which is Gonzaga. Gonzaga has a couple of feet now over Cincinnati Juniors. So Cincinnati Juniors for about 1,100 meters was sitting in 2nd place. Gonzaga, which is a scholastic high school, it's a boys' school outside of D.C., or in D.C. actually, and very impressive scholastic boat right here. The bow ball sitting on the hands of the Newport boat, so really connected even with Newport up front is Gonzaga. Gonzaga now with a deck and a seat, and starting to move away a little bit from Cincinnati Juniors. Behind Cincinnati Juniors, it is open water back to 3 connected boats. Lane 6, Everett, Lane 2, Rose City, and Lane 1 is the boat from Greenwich. 500 meters to go. I'm going to give it to you at the finish line. It is 3/4 of a length for Newport over Gonzaga. Gonzaga with almost half a length over Cincinnati Juniors.
Back and forth with every stroke. That's how it can go, especially with these big boats. Gonzaga overcoming the Cincinnati Juniors. Newport still showing strongly here. Matt, you kind of set us up for this situation.
Yeah, and I think I actually may have failed to mention Greg Holsworth, the Cincinnati Juniors. Those boys going to be up in the mix with Gonzaga. A really nice race going on here. Really nice battle between these top leading crews. They seem to have separated themselves out a little bit. But again, it does appear to be Newport. Newport out front by about a length, looking like they're holding off Gonzaga and Cincinnati in those 1, 2, and 3 positions.
Everett Association trying to make a move here towards the end. Rose City has been hanging in, and Greenwich as well. But it is the boat from Newport looking good here coming down to the finish. But Gonzaga has made up a lot of ground, has surpassed the Cincinnati Juniors, and then just a fine showing from all these athletes.
It's looking like Nick D'Antoni's work this year has really paid off, pushing up against... Again, Mark Mandel has done a great job with the Gonzaga program. As David mentioned, this is a scholastic program. This is not a juniors program that draws from multiple high schools. This is one lone high school that's out here in the men's varsity 8, making their way into the A final.
What a showing. They showed they still had some left at the end as Newport crosses the line first, Gonzaga second, Cincinnati comes in with a nice showing at the end too for third. It's Everett Association in 4th, Greenwich in 5th, and Rose City in 6th here in the first of the men's 8 semifinals. One race to go here in the USRowing Youth National Championship Regatta. Day 1, the first semis happening, time trials this morning, and boy, what a show it has been this afternoon on this gorgeous Friday, Florida afternoon. Well, set us up for the final flight here, the final semifinal, Matt.
Absolutely. In lane 1, we're going to have CRI, lane 2, Marin, lane 3, the local crew, Sarasota crew, lane 4, Oakland, lane 5, the Atlanta Juniors, and lane 6 will be the NorCal crew.
As you were saying in our break here, you know, Newport's been being talked about, the Cincinnati Juniors as well. Oakland Strokes and Sarasota, and this are 2 of the teams to watch.
Yeah, I really think so. The Oakland Strokes, they were last year's national champions in this event. And I have to say, I've been, again, watching the Sarasota crew, this local team, just crushing the field all year long. And I don't want to say they haven't had any competition out of respect for their competitors, but they have really been smoking the field. I think this is going to be where the rubber meets the road, and they're going to have some great battles here. They've got 5 other crews that they're going to have to fend off to try and make an A final in front of their home crowd.
So the final rumble of the day is in the starting gate. Locked into the start, aligning. It looks like the alignment judge is indicating that everything, all the bow balls are even. A small adjustment being made at the Atlanta Junior boat in lane 5, but the rest of them ready at the catch to launch down the course for the final race of the day in this first day, the 2017 USRowing Youth National Championships. Gorgeous sight as they get underway.
Sarasota takes off with a high, hard start. They take about 3 seats right off the first 5 strokes, really jumping out there. They want to try and get their nose in front so they can row of a position of dominance.
But wait, here come the Oakland Strokes.
Absolutely.
Oakland Strokes and Atlanta Juniors, along with NorCal, all pursuing Marin and CRI on the far side of the course, settling into their routine. But boy, what a start from Sarasota and the Oakland Strokes boat. And by the Atlanta Juniors and NorCal were not to be left behind.
Yeah, and actually I will say that the Atlanta Juniors have given the Sarasota crew the best battle of the year all year. They came with a late charge at the Southeast Regionals. But again, it's looking like right now Sarasota crew is trying to jump out to a little bit of a lead Oakland is not letting them go too quick, and neither is Atlanta.
One more reminder about the Captain U tent at lunch tomorrow and Sunday, learning about the process of rowing in college. If you're an interested athlete or parent, just stop by the U.S. Rowing area and look for the Captain U tent. And again, remind grandma, friends, and family that the competition is being live streamed on the internet. Just check the U.S. Rowing YouTube channel. We'll begin at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with the semifinals and then the C and D finals. Sunday, we will have the A and B finals here at Benderson Park.
Their bow ball is right in the center of the Oakland boat. So Oakland and Sarasota crew now duking it out up front. Big move from Oakland. Oakland has now taken the lead by about half a foot over Sarasota crew. Sarasota crew with almost 3/4 of a length as we approach 750 over really three boats, Atlanta, CRI, and the boat in lane 2 from Marin. Marin finished second last year in this event. The gentleman, Ethan Cedar, in their boat was in the United States Men's Junior National Team 8 last summer. You also have Junior National Team Firepower in Oakland and the Sarasota boats. The Sarasota coxswain, Jacob Shushko, was the coxswain of the men's US 8 at Junior Worlds, and the 60, Clark Dean, he rode in a quad. He was actually the stroke of the quad. But out front now, it is more of a commanding lead now for Oakland. So they put on a move there at about 500. It's gotten them the lead, and they're starting, you can just look at the boats, they're starting to kind of take an inch each stroke now over Sarasota crew as we approach the halfway point. Going very fast. These guys are going to be sub 3, about 2 minutes and 54 seconds at the halfway point is Oakland. Oakland now with half a length and continuing to kind of move away a little bit from Sarasota crew. Sarasota crew a solid second place. Behind Sarasota crew, it is the boat in lane 2 from Marin. Marin with only about 2 seats on the boat in lane 1 from CRI. Then close.
Oakland continues to lead with Sarasota in pursuit, and the remaining boats in the second semifinal working hard in the men's 8s. Last race of the day here. Let those athletes know all this work is possible. Oakland Strokes is still ahead and asserting themselves, not letting Sarasota dominate, and Sarasota's hanging in there trying to give them a run for their money.
It's looking like Marin is about 2 to 3 beats higher than CRI on the lane next to them. We're going to have to see in the last 500 as CRI starts to bring the rate up and charge. Will that make a difference? Has Marin gone too hard, too high, too early? If they can hold it off, it'll secure them a position in the A final. They're still going to have to fight off Atlanta. They're still going to have to fight off CRI. NorCal is still out there ready to make a move, but for the moment, it is Oakland out in front, Sarasota in second, with Marin, CRI, and Atlanta with all left to play.
As they hit the beach, let those 54 student athletes on the water hear your roar. Encourage them to that finish line in this final race. Setting up the A final on Sunday in the men's 8. Oakland Strokes ahead with Sarasota and Marin still pursuing. The Atlanta Juniors trying to hang in there. NorCal, CRI, all in touch as they come towards the finish.
Here goes CRI. CRI has gone up and they look like they have started to move. Oakland out in front. Still looks as though Sarasota is holding second, but it looks like CRI has overtaken Marin. It's going to be a really nice battle. They're into the red buoys, marking 250 meters to go.
It looks like Oakland Strokes might be feeling a bit of that pressure as well. They're trying to pick it up as too. The other boats are beginning to charge.
It is still Oakland out in front. Sarasota crew in second. CRI has moved into third position ahead of Marin. That would be the last qualifying position for CRI. But here comes Marin. They're going to try and hold it off in Atlanta. Atlanta trying to take a charge for the last 20.
It looks like CRI has surpassed Sarasota. Sarasota might be the one trying to cling for that final qualifying spot in the A final, but it is Oakland Strokes, smooth and sure as they cross the finish. But boy, oh boy, Sarasota with a big push right in the few final strokes, and they come in second with CRI third. Oh, Marin must be disappointed. They were almost there.
CRI is absolutely ecstatic. Throwing from an outside lane, I don't want to say that they did not expect something like that, but they really rode above themselves for that last 500 meters to pull in Marin, get their bow in front, make it so that it was Oakland, Sarasota, and CRI in the A final.
So that wraps up the first day of competition here at the 2017 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships. The live stream will return to your nearest screen tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with semifinals of the remaining races, as well as the C and D finals from the races today. The A and B finals for the championships will be on Sunday. Keep track of U.S. Rowing at our website, usrowing.org. I'm Mark Purcell for Matt Muffelman and David Wyan. Thank you for watching coverage of the Youth National Championship Regatta from Sarasota, Florida, and Nathan Benderson Park.